Let's zero in now. Collingwood and West Coast. The umpires heading out onto the MCG. The stands, not even half full, I wouldn't have thought, but we'll see. The banners are out and the players about to follow this first semi-final in a moment.
G'day, Scott Lamont. This week on Saturday Night Country, Canada's country crooner Corb Lund talks about his new album.
There's a lot of old country music idioms that are largely unused these days. I like to dig into that stuff.
Also, the group of musos who've packed up a van for a Cruisier Parts of Australia tour, and Graham Roger, Stronger for It All. That's this week on Saturday Night Country.
On 774 ABC Melbourne.
This is ABC Grandstand AFL.
ABC Grandstand.
The Eagles are first out onto the MCG. Winners last week. They come to challenge themselves against Collingwood. Only one progresses to next Friday night's preliminary final in Sydney against the Swans. It's Collingwood and West Coast at the MCG on Grandstand AFL. The teams are as selected. The subs, Jamie Elliott for the Pies and Matt Rosa for the Eagles. Gerard Whateley and Drew Morfitt to call it for you. Our experts tonight, Chris Grant and Mark McClure. Sellers, lead us off.
Oh, at the MCG, magnificent spring night. Beautiful day today and backed up tonight. Now we've got two good sides, two very good sides. West Coast, who've been terrific this year, in very good form. And the Pies, who actually look good on paper to me, and they haven't actually performed as they want. Their backline's packed tonight with Alan Tuvey, Chris Tarrant again, who's back in the backline, and Nathan Brown. Harry O'Brien needs to lift. So does Ben Reid, and he's sure as well. And they'll need to do some work. They've got a massive forward line to deal with, huge. And I reckon that might be an advantage for the Pies. They may be able to run off them. They may be able to work them into positions. All those little things that make a difference. Their midfield again, Wellingham, Swan, Johnson. You can also throw in Pendlebury, Beams. Didak will get a run through there. Thomas will get a run through there at times. Maybe Blair as well. They have got some enormous talent, but they have really been, I don't think, at their best for this year at all, and especially the last few weeks. They need to get the ball, yes, but they need to cover ground with it too. Carry, run and carry, and put pressure on the opposition in their forward line when they kick it in there to Cloak in those areas. Their forward line, Cloak was come back to form a bit, taken a few marks, kicked a few goals, and that's really good for Travis. But we need to see something from Dawes as well. Their smalls, Blair, Didak, Thomas, Goldsack need to tackle really hard. Cracker gets when he gets on for Solo as well, when he has a run as well, and so is Sidebottom as well in that area. They need to run, tackle and chase and really put pressure on the opposition, or they are going to really find out how bad it is going out in straight sets. They look good on paper. Experience, yeah. Talented, yes. That means nothing, I can assure you. Effort and action is really the two things that they need to put in tonight. Effort and action. And basic, their small forwards need to tackle. Their midfield need to win contested ball. And the defence needs to dominate their opponent. And when I talk about dominate your opponent, I would talk about when the ball's in the air, you smash it. As the Pies come out, as you can hear, as they come onto the MCG to an enormous roar, they need to dominate their opponent. When you get closer, you kill the ball towards the boundary line. You do all those things, you take your opponent to a different area. They've got a whole lot of things they need to work on, but they are experienced and they've been here before. The West Coast Eagles in good form, playing very, very well. Darren Glass in defence, terrific down there. Mackenzie as well, and Schofield. They've been the talls and handled themselves very well. Hearn does a run and kick. Selwood does a tagging roll down there. And Jacob Brennan is another one who's a young player, just experienced his, I think it's his first final in AFL football, and well done to him. Their midfield, of course, as we look at, and that's Prittis and Kerr. You can throw in McGinnity there, and you can throw in Gaff there, and sometimes Butler will get a run through there at some stage as well. They'll have Maston as well, who'll get a run through the midfield as well. And also you can add Cox and Nat Nui to those two. They are sensational how they've played in those areas. And they dominate in the ruck as well. Their forward line, well, this is the monster. This is the land of the giants. Kennedy, Lynch, Nat Nui, Darling, and sometimes Cox as well. That is huge and an interesting dynamic for them as well. Hill will be there at some stage. Masson will be there at some stage. Shuey will be there at some stage. And so will Embley, who will be there as well. They've got a really good side. They're in form. Where can they win? They can win in the rucks, absolutely. Cox and Nick Nat. They play against the best. Can they lift against the best? They played against a poor side last week, I would have thought. North were gone, they were shot to bits, and we understand that. But they need to lift against one of the really good sides in the competition in Collingwood. They've been great for 4, 5 or 6 years playing in the finals. Can West Coast pick themselves up and beat them?
Mark, it's going to be a ripper. It is really. There's so much riding on this for the Collingwood Football Club. And who would have thought that over the course of this year, we thought that Nathan Buckley got them into pretty good shape. They had a great run there of 10-odd weeks where they looked like they were really going to start to get back into some pretty good form. But really since then, and Jared brought it up, they haven't really hit their straps for a number of weeks now. They certainly don't go into this final with amazing confidence. That forward pressure that we've been so accustomed to see with the Collingwood Football Club, it isn't what it used to be, and certainly that's exposing their midfield with their lack of accountability through there. They've been allowed to be so attacking through the midfield. Pendlebury and Swan. Swan averages 35 possessions. Beams has stood up this year, averaging 31 possessions. They're huge numbers. They're having games where they're in their 40s, high 30s. That's extraordinary. An amount of ball that those two players have got over the course of this year. But what they're not able to do, and what Nathan just hasn't been able to tap into over the last 6 or 7 weeks, is the ability to really stop the midfield getting on top, and it's exposed their defence to no end. Certainly tonight, Mark, you spoke about the fact it is the land of the Giants. You look at the players that can run through there: Kennedy, Darling, Natanui, Cox will be there at some stage. You've then got goal kickers like Hill. Hill's been a very good acquisition for them over the course of this year. He's a dangerous player around goals. He can kick them from anywhere. And of course, Embley, he's had an interrupted season, but he burst back onto the scene last week as a high half-forward sort of wing-type role, went forward and kicked his 4 goals. They're going to be very hard to stop tonight, the West Coast Eagles. If we just go through the matchups, the obvious one, Jolly and Dawes against Cox and Natanui. Just an amazing part of this game. Whoever almost wins those hit-outs over the course of tonight, it's going to go a very, very long way towards those sides winning. Swan, 35 possessions in average over the course of this year. It is extraordinary. I think they're just going to have to try and really match up very, very close to him. I think Scott Selwood would get him. Pendlebury, will he go head-to-head with Apprentice? They're similar types. They move in a similar way. Pendlebury's not super quick, and neither is Prentice, but geez, they're ball winners. It'll be a great matchup to see tonight. I think Adam Selwood, who's the experienced sort of tagging type player in the West Coast Eagles team, I think he's got to go to Beams. The reason that Beams has been so dangerous over the course of this year is, yes, he gets a lot of the ball, but geez, he's dangerous up forward. He can take a catch. Selwood's pretty good in the air. He plays a very good nullifying role. Adam Selwood, I think he'll actually get that job. You look at the Collingwood forward line. Cloak, 6 goals last week, and Cracker, he's certainly returned to form after his first couple of games back for this season after a knee reconstruction. He kicked 4. It'll be interesting to see who goes to Cloak. Will McKenzie, the up-and-coming star of the back line, he's had a tremendous year, McKenzie. I think they'll probably start with him. Glass will probably be the fullback. They haven't wanted to put Glass on the really big, strong forwards for the opposition over the course of this year, but what that's allowed is McKenzie to grow. He's really grown into that position. Glass is there as a fullback if that doesn't go very well for them. Schofield is a tall player, but geez, he's quick. I think he'll go to Cracker. I think they'll have to really shut him down. He's a goal kicker. He'll have to return after a pretty good game last week, Cracker. And what he's going to have to do today is back that up. It's sometimes hard when you've been out for a long, long time to back up with another good performance when you've had a very, very poor interrupted season with that knee injury. I'd like to see Thomas go forward tonight. I'd like to see him go forward for that forward frontal pressure. Players like Blair and Thomas, they're very, very good at it. Thomas hasn't been in good form. Goldsack will probably play almost a tagging role as a half forward. I think he'll probably go to Hearn, but I think Thomas in the forward line just could be that X factor for them. And Nathan Buckley might be able to say to him, look, I know you haven't got a lot of the footy this year. I know you've been down in form, but what we need is just that unbelievable pressure that you've been able to put on over the course of the last couple of years. It just might be the thing that sparks Dale Thomas into action. You look at the West Coast Eagles forward line, well, it is tall. It's Kennedy, Darling and Natanui and / I guess Cox. They're the ones that they're going to have to watch. It'll be interesting to see how that plays out, Mark, because you're probably right. The conditions lend itself to talls, but guess what? If they don't mark it, once it hits a deck, you need to be fleet of foot. And I guess in a lot of ways, if they don't have a good night in the air, it might play into the Collingwood hands. Hearn, incredibly dangerous half back and a goal kicker. They just give it to him anywhere around 60 and he's a chance of having a shot on goal. I think Goldsack's going to have to go to him. And I wouldn't mind seeing also, Dawes hasn't been in great form. I wouldn't mind seeing them just leave him on the bench and he becomes the jolly Dawes ruck combination off the bench and actually change the forward line up. Leave Cloak as the big down there and even play someone like a Fazolo who's pretty good in the air. Merely mix it up and actually catch the West Coast Eagles defence out.
Yeah, what you're talking about there is that means that Jolly almost goes to that forward line and he drags a player, he drags the ruckman with him because they need another tall there for marking area.
Absolutely, and I think in a lot of ways, the West Coast Eagles defensive players and their defensive coach, they'll be expecting Dawes and Cloak to be there. They'll expect them to start. All of a sudden, you actually get a smaller type player across half forward who's got real running ability. The thing about Fazolo is that not only is he a pretty good ground level player, he's very good in the air. He just might catch him out. It'll be interesting to see which way Collingwood go.
The formalities about to be observed, and there'll be a particular poignancy here with a minute's silence for John McCarthy, the AFL player who died in Las Vegas during the week. A current player with Port Adelaide he was, but he'd spent 4 years at Collingwood, and his first footy club, Sorrento, they played in a grand final in their league today and had a 2-point victory. So the two teams come to the members' wing, West Coast and Collingwood, with the AFL Master of Ceremonies, Craig Willis.
Port Adelaide player and former Collingwood player John McCarthy died in Las Vegas while travelling with his teammates. Our thoughts are with his family and partner at this most difficult of times. We ask you now to join with the coaches, players and umpires as we pause to remember him. Ladies and gentlemen, please remain upstanding for the national anthem of Australia.
Is building at the MCG, but it's hardly a full house as Collingwood prepare for this cutthroat final to see if they can continue their series in September.
In the 50s, pushing up to 60. It's a lot of spare seats.
Kelly Underwood's in the front row for us tonight. Hello, Kel.
Hi again, Jared. Quite emotion charged down here at ground level. Clearly the Collingwood players, a close eye on them during that minute's silence. They're obviously still grieving. There was a large image of John McCarthy on the giant screen. Some Collingwood players had their heads down during that minute's silence. Others just eyes fixed on the MCG's large screen. Who knows what sort of impact it will have on the game tonight. Now the subs, to start off with, it's Jamie Elliott for the Pies in his very first final. At the bench for Collingwood, Didak, O'Brien and Wellingham. The Eagles sub is Matt Rosa back in the side after overcoming a broken collarbone. The bench, Gaff, Hill and Brennan. Perfect conditions, 11 degrees, clear night. It will stay clear and barely a breath of wind down here at all.
Pendlebury is the acting captain for Collingwood in the absence of Nick Maxwell, who's out suspended, and Pendlebury wins the toss for the Pies and they'll go to the city end in the first quarter. The flag's pretty much hanging limply. It is a perfect night.
So what do you think, Mark McClure?
I think where you finish on the ladder is where you should finish, and this not should, but where they will finish, and Collingwood will win.
Chris Grant.
West Coast Eagles just really interested to see if they hang in there early, Jared, and get to half-time close on the scoreboard. They've got the fitness to overrun them.
Drew Morfitt.
I'm going for West Coast. I think they're on the up. They've won 4 of their last 5. Collingwood have lost 3 of their last 4.
I'm with you. We're a 3-1 split for the Eagles at the MCG against Collingwood in a cutthroat final. So that gives you a bit of an indication. The Eagles are going to start with Kennedy and Darling and Lynch and Cox all down forward, and Embley will be there as well, and McGinnity heads into that vicinity. So that's the land of the Giants, on which so much will rest tonight, whether they can work the matchups and mark the ball in the air. Counting down to the opening siren, the first semi-final here on Grandstand AFL. Collingwood and West Coast, you're with Drew Morfitt. Collingwood and West Coast, you're with Drew Morfitt.
Mackenzie goes to Cloak at the city end of the ground. There are seagulls circling. What an atmosphere as the umpire bounces the ball to get us underway, and Natanui leaps a mile over the top of them, but it's bunted forward by Beams. Natanui follows up like a rover, gets the hand pass away. Here come the Eagles. Embley's hand pass towards the 50. Marston dispossessed. Embley follows up and might get it again. Kerr beats him to it, spins out of a tackle, gets the hand pass to Selwood, who hand passes down the line, not particularly to a teammate. It's taken by Sidebottom for Collingwood, and he runs the ball out of play on defensive 50. But we saw in an encapsulated couple of seconds what Natanui is capable of doing.
Fasolo did start forward as the wingman for Cloak for the Pies. Jolly in front, wins the tap, clearly down to Pendlebury. There was a free kick against Natanui as well. Pendlebury claims the advantage, feeds the hand pass over the top to Blair. He gives it back to Thomas. The kick out of half-back. Cloak is the target. 4-man pack. Spoil made by Mackenzie. Knocked away by Adam Selwood at the drop. And he punches it out of play.
They have gone with it. 2 talls up forward with Dawes and Cloak. Really would like to have seen a change there, but they have gone with the 2 tall timbers.
And Goldsack on the forward line, which he has been this season as a defending forward. Here's the bounce just forward of the wing for Collingwood. Trudis gets a tough possession in there, goes nowhere. And the umpire comes in to bounce. The umpire's in charge of this semi-final, Brett Roseberry, Matt Stevick and Justin Schmidt.
Actually interesting there. They have 1 free down back. They're trying to get 1 free, and that's what they're doing, Pies.
Natanui has a bit of a wrestle. Jolly over the top. The ball comes out towards the wing. There's going to be an Eagles free kick with Selwood taken off the ball when he didn't have it. Advantage is taken. Marston gets the hand pass forward. Here come the Eagles to Shuey. He kicks towards full forward. Oh, Mark dropped, and it gives Kennedy a chance for the Eagles, who bumbles it along the ground. He misses everything. It goes out of bounds alongside the left behind post. Still scoreless.
You talk about the land of the Giants, Mark. Cox, Kennedy. Who else is in there? Darling and Lynch. All 4 players inside 50 over 6'4".
There were 3 all in of that pack. Not sure about that. Heath Shaw with a hand pass out of full-back. It's cut off, though, by Scott Selwood. His hand pass was ineffective. Blair gets hold of it at the defensive 50. The kick was for Cloak. Coming back with a flight was Brennan. Brave play. Jarred it free. Playing for the boundary is Mackenzie. And he does see it there. At the interchange gates. Hoyt back into play. The ruckmen haven't quite made it. Natanui arrives late and he's able to take it cleanly. Hand pass off to Gaff. Kick inside the 50. It'll bounce in front of Cox. He takes possession. His hand pass is poor. It was a throw. And it's a Collingwood free kick 40 out from the defensive goal.
And it'll be taken by Brown. He goes by hand backwards. Sidebottom kicks the ball across the ground. Misses the target. It pitches. And is there for Tarrant, who clears from the back pocket to Thomas on the lead. And he takes the mark out in front of Marston. Thomas needs to lift on recent form. Here he is at left half-back for the Pies. We haven't had a score as yet. 3 minutes played. Thomas runs around the man on the mark. Has a bounce. Gets the kick over centre wing. Cloak leads. And the ball evades him and goes out of bounds. Just Mackenzie on Cloak and Glass going with Dawes. Surprise to anyone?
No, Mackenzie's taken the best forward for all of this season. He's elevated himself into that role and does a great job too.
Natanui in front at the boundary throw in, but there were any number of players underneath and the ball had little chance of coming out. despite the best efforts of the umpire, who just allowed it to go on and on and on, and finally the ball does come out Collingwood's way, and Didak got rid of his opponent. Gaff poked it inside the 50, Dawes overran it. Coming through the other way is Schofield. He paddles it up to Prittis, who's in the tackle of side bottom. Dispossessed him for Solo, grabbed the crumb, swings it at goal. It stays right. The opening score is a Collingwood behind off the boot of Alex Fasolo.
A West Australian in amongst a lot of West Australians. A kick in to be taken by Schofield. A Victorian in amongst a lot of West Australians. Schofield goes short towards the back pocket, and finding plenty of space is Shuey, who marks. Oh, this is beautiful. He kicks the gap in between half-back flank and wing. Great Southern stand side, who is in acres of space. But he decides to go back and allow the man on the mark to stand that mark. He kicks down the line to a diving Lynch, who marks just inside the boundary line. Centre wing. Collingwood are behind. Eagles yet to score. Lynch, who beat the rap on appeal at the tribunal during the week, kicks towards the 50. And how did Kerr get so free? Because there was interference in front, and he marked about 5 metres in the clear, but the interference was in the pack ahead of him, and the free kick is going to Collingwood. Reid.
He's at the defensive 50. Reid has to kick to a pack around the southern wing. Dawes is in it. Put one hand up to it. Couldn't take it. Butler at the drop for the Eagles. He'll bounce it to half forward where it's cut off by Jolly. He used Thomas. Brings it inboard to Blair. The Magpies link up round the southern wing. On to Pendlebury. Constructive stuff to Didak. Now up to Fasolo. Needs one more. It didn't come. And Glass ran him down. He wins holding the ball. Defensive side of the middle. He thought about going quickly and thinks better of it.
Oh, 50-metre penalty.
Fasolo, I think, guys, came into that 5-metre zone.
But he was following his player around the back, which I don't quite understand. You're allowed to follow your player around the back. If he runs inside 5 metres, so are you.
Well, here's Darren Glass, who hasn't scored even a behind this year. So he gives it off to Selwood, who goes for goal and kicks it left with a hook and gets a behind Scott Selwood. So the score's level at a behind apiece.
He's got a nasty shiner. Scott Selwood out of last week. The kick-in's for O'Brien. It's good at the defensive 50. He uses it 30 metres further afield to Johnson. And the long lead up at him was Fasolo. The kick is longer than that, though, and Cloak was the target. It sat in the air, and Hearn was able to make easy work of the interception. He spreads inboard. It's a good-looking kick. It's well marked by Butler, who looks to play on. Got round Thomas. Kicked it very short to Shuey at centre-half forward. He gets under a high ball. Darling sets himself. Shaw shepherded him. Free kick surely. It'll be Darling's ball near the top of the square. Shaw under a high ball. He just positioned himself in a manner that's completely illegal.
He didn't look at the ball, Jared. That was his giveaway. You have your eye on the ball, you got no problems there, but if you take it off, you're gone.
And Jack Darling, who is in a rich vein of form. Close in. Beyond the 50-goal mark this season already. He skips to 20 and dobs the opener for West Coast. 1-1 to a behind. We've gone 7 minutes.
Well, 2 different things happened then. One did it poorly, and that was Heath Shaw. Free kick every day of the week, every night of the week. When you run back like that, if you're going to turn around quickly and actually push back hard, but you've got to look at the footy. He didn't do either of those. He actually made contact with him as he came back. But what did Darling do? He actually made sure that Heath Shaw made contact with him. He took a step forward or two. Steps forward, made sure that Heath Shaw actually made contact with him. If Heath Shaw hadn't have made contact with him, it wouldn't have been a free kick. He drew the free kick. It just shows you that he's learning every time he goes out in the field, Jack Darling.
Eagles have gone inside 55-1. Cox wins in the middle, gets it to Scott Selwood, who gets distance with a kick on the turn. Lynch is there. It comes to the front of the pack. Scooped off the deck by O'Brien, but his hand pass a little bit slick for Tarrant. Hill gets the hand pass up, and a shot by McGinnity for the Eagles is home for another one. West Coast 2-1. Collingwood are behind.
Yeah, fumble there by the Pies, and that was Tarrant. Harry O'Brien picked up the ball beautiful and clean at the bottom of his feet, and really well done. And then a short handball to Tarrant. took his eye off the ball, fumbled it, all of a sudden, bang. You make a mistake today, you are gone. So McGinnity was quick, strong, just went straight through the middle of the ball. They are, and straight through the middle of the goals. They're on song, the West Coast. They are right on song and running very, very hard at the ball.
Kelly Underwood.
That fumble, Chris Tarrant has come to the bench, and alongside of him, Dale Thomas for his first breather of the night.
Eagles by 12. Scott Selwood with Wellingham. Swan and Marston. Prittis Beams. It's Jolly and Cox in the ruck. Jolly got his hand to it, knocked it down to Swan. Feeds it to the side of the pack for Didak to run onto. He works it forward to side bottom and gets it back. Didak up to the 50. Not a great kick. It got past Cloak and McKenzie tidied up. The Eagles on the counter-attack. Hand pass to Embley. Kick around the southern wing. Knocked on by Darling. It didn't quite come off. Tuvey gets a second look. He kicks it close to the boundary and knocks it over the boundary. Which was quite his intention, but not picked up as deliberate.
No. Any Eagles fan or player is claiming deliberately out of bounds umpire. Throw in. Just forward of the wing for Collingwood. Great Southern stand side. Comes through the pack. Taken by Sidebottom, who hurries a kick to centre half forward, and Cracker marks. 60 metres from goal. Too far out. Andy Cracker. He kicks to Cloak. Oh, hands to it. Had a chance to take the mark. Comes to the front to Butler. He goes down. Holding the ball, say the Collingwood fans. Lynch slings out a hand pass. Comes up the ground to Shuey. He loses it. Johnson for Collingwood. Kicks to a vacant goal square. It pitches, bounces end on end. Gathered by Hearn. Oh, he keeps it alive. That's unbelievable. And there's a socket out of midair. It hasn't gone over the line yet. Still with Collingwood. Cracker gets another chance. Snaps off the left. And he kicks the goal for the Pies. They're first. It should have gone through a minute ago.
Well, it should have gone through not once, not twice, but 3 times. It was a calamity. And Hearn was the first one. Hearn had the pressure from behind him. All he had to do was actually take that pressure and run through the points, and it would have been a kick in. Not only did he actually keep it in, so did the next one. And then the ball goes over the line. There's going to be conjecture with this one. It won't want to be a close finish because it was over the line for sure.
Definitely. The replay on the big scoreboard shows that ball got over the behind line before it came back into the field of play.
Oh, that's a shocker. And they're going to review this.
Well, that's
I wonder
okay,
if they're
Joe,
allowed to.
Yeah, well, maybe.
So this has come from upstairs with no intervention by the field umpires. And it's been determined that this is a score we can't live with. All of the ball over all of the line is the question here. Now, the ball is obscured by the post. You would make the assumption that all of the ball is over all of the line. But as a certainty...
Certainty over the line.
Yeah, there is an angle that says it's certain.
Now, that goal umpire will be doing country footy next week.
It all happened so quickly, Drew. I mean, that's why they want the television in, and they should have used it.
So the NRL had its poor moments last night with video technology. We'll just see what we come up with here, because nothing's a given at the moment.
We saw Anzac Day decided by a video review. Collingwood and Essendon. And one day a grand final might be decided. And here, early in a semi-final, we're getting the decision, which is all clear of goal, is it?
No,
all clear of behind. We take a goal off Cracker, I think. Yes, score cancelled. It is a behind. I'm sorry, Andy Cracker. We'll take that off you. One flag only.
Hearn. He plays on. No indecision this time, and he blasts it as far as he can around the southern wing. It's not a great kick. Sidebottom cuts it off. Shaw is run down by McGinnity. Ball spills clear. Butler is onto it. Doesn't have much space, but he did work it off through Nat Nui. Now to Marston. Goes back through the traffic to Adam Selwood, and Butler gets it again. He dabs it around the wing. It's a good play. And Gaff marked, kick to half forward. Camped in front though, taking a strong mark as Reid for Collingwood. They hold up at the defensive 50.
So, what a sensation early in the game in the opening 10 or 12 minutes. The kick to centre wing where a pack gathers. The rover is Natanui. Not a bad sort of a rover. Comes to Gaff, gets his hand pass back to Schofield, who kicks towards the 50. Reed again. Oh, ball punched away from him, or he dropped the mark. It comes outside the 50. Swan has it. It's a hand pass to Brown of Collingwood. Oh, you're
Chris.
too slow, Tarrant. He's had a shocking start to the game. He gets the hand pass away, taken by Darling running back the wrong way. His hand pass to Selwood, who kicks to full forward. Kennedy, no mark. In front, Thomas, who just throws it on the boot and kicks it across and slightly backwards. And the mark's taken by Beams inside defensive 50.
Hand pass to Johnson. Poor kick to half back. Cloak had to take the bouncing ball. Hand pass to Pendlebury, who's hot. Butler got him. Should be holding the ball. The Eagles will win it away regardless. Running up to half forward. Gaff into the pocket for Hill. He takes the mark. Pitted against Harry O'Brien.
Gee, it was a good kick, Jared. It had to be absolutely centimetre perfect to get that over the top of Harry O'Brien. It was a ripping kick, and Harry O'Brien could do nothing about that.
It is a tight angle for Josh Hill. 2 steps inside the boundary, right forward pocket, 25 out. He stabs at goal and splits the middle. And the Eagles have made the jump. 3-1 to 2 behinds after quarter of an hour.
Well, Chris Tarrant again made a very bad fumble again. He's actually decision making's been poor tonight. And sometimes when you retire, you're retired. Maybe this is the case, and Chris has made a really poor start there. Great kick to Hill, over the top, takes the mark, had him covered all the way there, Harry, and then all of a sudden pokes it through. Very, very clever kick. Clever player, Hill. Very, very clever player, and been very good at West Coast.
Getting more replays of that ball going over the behind line, which disallowed the goal for Cracker. Oh, dead set. Anyway, a rule brought in just before the season started, and if we get correct decisions, it's going to be good. Cox wins in the middle, comes down to Prittis on the left boot. A high ball short of half forward, a tangle of arms and legs before the ball arrives. Gathered by side bottom, his hand pass chopped off by McGinnity. Out to Gaff at left half forward. 65 from goal. He kicks to Natanui in the pocket. No mark, but he works it to the front for his little fellas. Oh, Scott Selwood, magnificent hand pass, and through McGinnity to Kerr, and Kerr kicks the goal. What a start by the Eagles. 4-0.
Unbelievable, Drew. Their forward pressure, this is Collingwood 2 years ago. They are owning the ball in their forward half, and each time that Collingwood go forward, they handball, they try and get it back to someone who can see the play up in front, and they get smashed from behind. There's players running and making sure that the Collingwood players are under pressure, and below their knees they are so crisp and clean at the moment. They had a couple of players then, they just took possession of the ball and all of a sudden it was off, it was gone, and Kerr was the one who actually got it out into space and didn't let them down. 4 goals, 1, can you believe it?
Kelly Underwood.
Ben Reid has just come to the bench looking very proppy, and he's grabbing at his lower back.
Well, Collingwood's defensive setup looked all wrong on paper, and that's how it has started. They've got to get the ball in the middle. Pendlebury sees to that. Hand pass to Beams, kick inside the 50, falls short of Cloak, and Hearn is there to intercept. The Eagles spread on the southern side. Cox made tremendous space. He's got Embley short or Prittis down the line. He used Embley up, used Prittis over now to Embley. Punched on by Scott Selwood, but they've lost it. Beams to Blair. Oh, he slipped. He had to get out of a tight spot and kick it wide, and Didak gets there to take it just in from the boundary. Pendlebury wanted it. It didn't go there. It does on the second time of asking. Pendlebury sideways to Harry O'Brien. Up off one knee, having marked, and it's a high ball, hard to mark. Side bottom sets himself. Gaff made the spoil. What about the crumb? Kennedy's onto it. They hit him hard in the tackle, and it's a tough ball to be won. Shaw takes down Gaff. Bodies pile in. It'll be bounced in the centre square.
Eagles 4-1, 25 to 2 behinds. What a start. Started the same way last week against the Kangaroos. 7-0 in that first quarter. This ball's tapped down to Prittis, and he kicks to McGinnity, who's on fire. This is his 7th possession coming up. He gets the hand pass away to Gaff, who's going just as well. His kick down the line to half forward, and Lynch takes the mark before the spoil comes. He's too far out to score even for the big Q. He kicks inside the 50. Embley tried to use his body, but Harry O came over the top of him and knocked the ball out of play. 25-2. Well, Fremantle started like this last night and lost the game, but Collingwood have got to do something about it to turn this around.
Deep forward again for the Eagles at the throw-in. Cox gets first hand to it. Kerr burrows through the pack, gathers, ran into a tackle and lost the footy. Wellingham to Beans, who got crunched. Off the ground goes Tuvey. Hard ball to win. Has a free kick in the back play, and it's going Collingwood's way. Beans' ball at the defensive 50. It had gone some way down the field. A little reprieve for Collingwood. Short ball for Thomas. Jolly wants it at the interchange gates. He receives. For Solo.
Problem with the Pies is they've only got one person to kick to, and that's Cloak. So it's easy to knock off.
Jolly missed the short option, so he had to go long, and it is in the Cloak direction. Terrific hands. Out in front of McKenzie. He wheels onto the left boot. Drills it deep. Needs Goldsack. Tremendous grab. Under all manner of pressure from Schofield. He tucked it into the breadbasket. And Tyson Goldsack. This is a moment for Collingwood. It simply has to be a goal. Full levels of concentration applied. Slight angle to the right. The assignment is 40 metres. Tyson Goldsack to apply the steadying touch. The right foot drop punt is no good. It barely scores. Sneaks in for a behind. The Magpies have 3 of those. The Eagles 4-1. Kelly Underwood.
Ben Reid's had some heat applied to his lower back. Did a couple of run-throughs. He's back out there, but he's not 100%.
And kicks a mile without even trying. A beautiful kick to Cox. That has gone 60 metres. Glorious kick. Dean Cox, half-back flank. Just steers the pass. And it is absolutely perfect. Ball centred here by Butler, and he's turned it over. Goldsack has it. Off to Pendlebury. Off to Jolly, who kicks towards Cracker in the forward pocket. He runs onto the ball, but it gets away from him. And that's over the line as well, Andy Cracker. This time it'll be a boundary throw-in. He had a goal earlier on, had it taken off him by video replay. It's 25-3, the Eagles.
It's been on the wrong side of the track so far tonight. Jolly put it underfoot. Swan trying to burst through. Hand pass to the goal square. Dawes comes out, missed his target. Marston gave it straight up though. The Pies working around. Johnson to Jolly to Harry-O, and O'Brien delivers the goal. He slaps at the black armband that the Collingwood players are wearing in memory of John McCarthy. It's the first goal for them after 21 minutes. 1-3 to 4-1.
That's the first time they've had the chain of 3 or 4 handballs. It's actually hit the target and then finished off. But Harry O'Brien was on the end. But good pressure by the Pies. Push the ball inside 50. Keep it in there. Start to use it well. You know, they've got a rip, tear, bust here. There's no value in doing what they're doing at the moment. Just trying to hit targets too easy. They've just got to get it in there and fight like hell. And it has been for them because West Coast have dominated the game so far.
The inside 50s have evened up. 10-8 in favour of the Eagles. Bounce in the middle, neither ruckman. Comes to Scott Selwood. Kick goes nowhere. Gathered by Swan. And pass to Shaw at Collingwood. He kicks long to Clump. Another good mark out in front and up high. That's what he needs to do. The final series has had the big men flying.
But he needs quick ball, Drew. He needs long, quick ball in there. And that was a perfect example. Shaw banging it in long so it gives his forwards a chance instead of people coming back on him.
It's his second contested mark. This one 50 out right in front. Kicking to the city end. He'll need to kick from about 55. Away goes the drop punt. And marked by Cox, who got back there. The kick didn't have the distance and was missing anyway to the right. And Cox has taken a defensive mark for the Eagles.
Dabs across the face of goal for Schofield. Now Shuey's making the play at half back. He wasn't able to mark, but he does gather the loose ball. Brought down in a stirring tackle from Reid. Holding the ball. So the Pies are dragging themselves back into this.
Gee, if Reid's injured, I'd like to see him at full pitch. Gee, what a tackle.
Onto the left boot from Reid. High up to the 50. Muddling sort of pack. Spoils are made. It's all on the crumb. Blair gets hold of it. 50 away. He's going to give some ground with a ball for Brown. Hand passed over the top to Johnson. Finding the way through at least to get it to the left boot. Now to the top of the square. It'll land for Pendlebury. Fell about 5 metres short of where the big men had set themselves. And Pendlebury drifted across the front of the pack to mark.
They kick a goal here, Jared. Every player for Collingwood should run across to Ben Reid. They were on the fly, the West Coast Eagles. Stop shooing in his tracks. What a tackle.
Pendlebury's close in. It should all come to a goal. And it does. They peg it back now. 2-3 Collingwood, 4-1 West Coast. We've gone 24 minutes.
That'll settle their nerves a little bit. It'll settle the nerves of the players and the Collingwood supporters listening and watching. They were all at sea in that first 10 minutes or so. But they're steadying now. They're starting to find their groove. They're certainly getting inside 50. Tackle counts up. Certainly in the Collingwood players' favour at the moment. So they're hunting after the footy now, hunting after the man. It's an arm wrestle, but the confidence will come from that.
Reid's laid 3 tackles already, and one of the tackles of the season. 25-15. Eagles got the first 4 goals. The Pies have got the last 2. Bounce in the centre. Nat Nui camped underneath it and wins the hit, but it comes to Swan, who kicks it across the ground and slightly backwards. It sits up, side bottom, shares the ball with Beams and back to Shaw. Here's kick. Oh, beautiful on the chest of Dawes, who marks. Hand pass to Fasolo, who kicks in. Goal shot right in front, takes the mark. 35 metres from goal. That is brilliant football by anybody's standards for the Pies.
They're not standing still now. They're starting to run. They're getting to the right positions, pushing the ball out, using each other, starting to get some confidence in each other, and their ball use has improved 100%.
Goldsack, who has been a defender all his career until this year under Nathan Buckley. But can he kick a forwards shot for goal? Right in front. 40 out. Oh, he's hit the post. So he's had 2 gilt-edged opportunities and has kicked behinds both times. Andy Cracker had a goal taken off him on the video replay. Otherwise, Collingwood would be in front.
Kelly Underwood.
Heath Shaw's in some bother down here, Jared. The last contest, his hand hit the ground. He grabbed at his right wrist, straight off the ground, getting some treatment now.
Eagles by 9. Kick in is for Prittis. Had to take it on the bounce. Gets away from Swan. Measures off the pass for Gaff, who's been in everything. Floats the hand pass to Kerr. Kicks around the southern wing. Skidding ball. Beautifully gathered by the Pies in defence. And Tuvey it was who measured it off short. Dawes with a long kick inside the 50. No mark. Paddled out by Swan to keep it alive. Got to be gathered. Adam Selwood took some really high contact. Pretty crude stuff from Blair. Eagles free kick in defence.
Selwood comes out wide to Butler. Deep inside defensive 50. We've got a game of football now. It was looking like a thrashing in the first 15 minutes. Kick outside the 50. A pack gathers. Selwood drops a mark. O'Brien gets the crumbs. He loses it in the tackle. They throw themselves in fiercely for the ball, and a stoppage is forced about 65 metres out from Collingwood's goal. And little Blair, Jared Blair, was the first in there. Here's the bounce with a lot of players around it. Jolly wins the hit away from goal. Beams has his head down. Gets the hand pass out the back door. Johnson charges into the pack, goes without it. Marston is in there. Shuey eventually gets it back to Prittis. Standing start kick over the wing. It bounces on for the Eagles. Tarrant first back there. Little hand pass to Reid. A sidestep. He's doing everything. Pendlebury back to Tarrant. And he buys some time out here. And Wellingham takes the mark at half-back flank. Cruises, has a bounce. Down the line he goes. Looking for Dawes. Half volley, awkward. He can't take it cleanly. Spills it out of play. But a total turnaround in the last 10 minutes of the game. The Eagles 4-1, Collingwood 2-4.
Kelly.
They've strapped up Heath Shaw's right wrist, so he's ready to come back on.
Jolly in front position, knocked it down to Kerr though. Hand pass to Shuey, high up to half forward. Reid had good position, but he dropped the mark, and the Eagles are almost through. Emily ran into a dead end, and Reid got it back. Hand pass to O'Brien, tackled to ground by Lynch. Pendlebury's onto a hot footy. They try to keep it going. Didak pulled it clear, but eventually they're overwhelmed. Shuey, great sidestep through the pack. Ran to 55, kicked for goal, touched on the line. Touched on the line.
Cox free kick, Jared.
Oh, Cox was held in it. So Brown and Cox had set themselves on the goal line. And Cox was trying to muscle him over said line. And Brown had a fistful of jumper.
Yeah, 2 fistfuls, Jerry. Both hands were full of West Coast Eagles jumper. You can't complain about that.
So this will halt the Collingwood run. Point blank range. Dean Cox puts it into the third tier. And it's the Eagles by 15. 5-1 to 2-4 as we head toward quarter time.
Totally against the run of play. The West Coast dominated the first 15 minutes, and the Pies have actually really held on well in the last 10 minutes, and then straight against the play. But Cox is a huge man in forward line. He's hard to handle. They're both hanging on to each other. I think sometimes they over-umpire, but okay, if they got a jumper, they got a jumper, and that's the way it goes. But well done to the West Coast. They've stopped it. They've stemmed the flow. They've actually pushed them back, and all of a sudden the crowd have gone mad over that decision on the television.
You can't possibly get away with that.
Not saying you can, but they did. They don't see it.
He took his jumper off. That's how much he had.
And Natanui charges through and wins the hit. McGinnity soccers the ball away. That didn't go 10 metres or 15 metres. Tarrant was claiming a mark. He's in la-la land. Somehow it comes back to O'Brien, who clears from centre half back. Shaw with a big leap. Can't complete the mark. Spills to Wellingham, who kicks over the logo centre wing. Didak gives chase. Hearn first back there. Loses the ball. Here comes Didak. He gets to 55 and kicks to a vacant goal square and a vacant forward line. Who was he aiming that at? And the mark in defence taken by McKenzie for the Eagles. He's got some support from Kerr. Looked a certain goal for Collingwood there. Kicked by Kerr up to Embley on the defensive 50. He kicks to centre wing. Natanui up early. Surely umpire. An unrealistic attempt. Comes to Beam. Short pass to Didak. They're on fire now, Collingwood. And Didak penetrates the 50, where Jolly takes the mark. Not far off centre. 40 out.
So that's a danger. Jolly goes forward. Nick Nat chases the ball up there, and Jolly's on his own inside forward 50. Very dangerous spot to be.
Well, we had Cox getting the last goal at one end, and now Jolly has a chance to answer for the Pies. Collingwood lead disposals 95-80 after they were blitzed early, and the contested possessions are 43-32 for Collingwood. Can Jolly cap off their good work? 45 out. Yes, he can. They've kicked 3 of the last 4 goals. And the Eagles lead 5-1 to 3 goals 4, just 9 points in it.
Well, it was West Coast Eagles everywhere early when they slammed on those first 4 goals. And certainly over the last 6 or 7 minutes, Collingwood have just started to wrestle control, at least arm wrestling it anyway. They've got the 3 out of the 4, as you say, Drew. But they are arm wrestling themselves back into the contest. They're starting to halve the contest around the stoppages, and they're starting to get the ball inside 50. And you're right, Mark, Natanui, he does ball watch a lot, and on that occasion Jolly caught him out. Very smart, experienced player, Darren Jolly.
West Coast by 9. It would have to be very clean out of the middle to come up with a score. Natanui down to Pritis. Took a little bit of time. Hand pass to Gaff. Gaff will work it up to left half forward. No, he won't. The kick was smothered on the way through by Thomas. Punched down by Swan. Reed gathers it. Feeds it out the back to Beams and back to Swan. His kick around the members' wing will just about see us to quarter time for Solo to Wellingham, and there's the bell. As Collingwood were going to go forward, Cloak had a one-on-one with McKenzie. The Magpie fans feel a sense of unrest. Video review which knocked out a goal. A couple of free kicks at the other end which have resulted in goals. West Coast with a 9-point lead as the sum total of it. 5-1-31 to Collingwood 3-4-22. The goal kickers are singles everywhere. Kerr, Cox, Darling, Hill and McGinnity for the leaders, and O'Brien, Pendlebury and Jolly for the Pies. Quarter time on Grandstand AFL here on ABC Local Radio, News Radio and Grandstand Digital.
Kelly.
Heath Shaw got that right wrist still strapped. Treatment at quarter time. He's going to start this quarter on the bench. And Daniel Kerr's got a big gash on the top of his left hand. Continues to bleed, continues to get treatment, but he's starting.
Eagles by 9 points. Jolly wins the first tap down to Beams. Crunched to ground by Pritis. Beams on the follow-up. Got a hand pass out to Blair. Up inside the 50. High ball. Schofield goes the punch. Dawes tried to paddle it on at ground level. Took possession. Somehow got it to his boot while lying on the ground. Kicked it only as far as Hearn though. And he dabs it out to Embley. In the left back pocket. Shuey makes some space to the side of him. And Embley will run back across. Shuey thinks about it, runs to a dead end, has to get his kick away. It's not great. Scott Selwood's got a task here. He didn't take possession, and the Magpies have the numbers. Cloak, Shepherds, Didak gathers. Terrible kick to the side. Was never going to be 15. Beams takes it, swings it to the goal square. Bit of a muddle there. Shuey went over the top. Swan's got hold of it, opens the angle, darts back onto the left, kicks across the face of goal. And it harmlessly rolls all the way out of bounds.
Now we're starting to see Collingwood put some pressure on. Some numbers down there, pushing, shoving, tackling, harassment.
Collingwood going to the punt road end in the second quarter. Nat Nui works to the front and double palms the ball down. Shuey dives at it. Selwood gets a touch, goes backwards. They need it out here, the Eagles, and Embley walks it out. And we get a throw in, still in the forward pocket for Collingwood. 9 points the margin. The Eagles 5-1, Collingwood 3-4. Collingwood pressing hard at the start of the second quarter. Jolly wins the hit, but the ball comes down to the front and cleared by Shuey for the Eagles. Up short of centre wing. Kennedy goes in. Tarrant, Shepherds for Reid, who gathers. Hand pass to O'Brien. Off the left, Harry towards the 50. And the mark taken by Swan. How he gets in positions to do what he does, I don't know. He doesn't look quick. He waddles to the ball and takes a chest mark where you shouldn't take one. The Brownlow medalist and Adam Selwood, who has the task, shaking his head and standing the mark. Swan to get the Pies to within 3 points, kicking from about 49 metres. Hooked it. And Natanui on the behind line takes the mark.
And plays on, so he was under a bit of pressure. He cleared the defensive 50 with his kick. Darling tried to knock it on, but really to no avail. It's gathered in there by Sidebottom. They're all drawn to him. And it'll be bounced 50 outs from the Collingwood goal.
There was a chance for Swan. When you think of the chances Goldsack had in the first quarter, should be in front.
At the bounce, Natanui wins front position. He knocked it straight down to Beams. Collingwood again into the forward pocket. Bouncing ball, Cloak. He put a hand out to it, but didn't have much prospect of keeping it in. Inside 50 is 18-11, mounting Collingwood's way. They're down by 9. The game is very much on their terms for the time being. Jolly down to Swan, ran into a dead end, but taken high by Embley. Magpie fans approve of this free kick.
That was good ruck work by Jolly. Jolly's little tap down was just beautiful.
And actually, Swan was legged first by Prittis, which caused him to topple over and be whacked high by Embley.
It was a double whammy. It was a low tackle and a high one.
They do that in tag team matches. 25 out, no angle. Swan nurses it home. The Magpies are within a kick. Margin is 3 points. 5-1 to 4-4.
Yes, Drew, we do marvel at Dane Swan. He doesn't look like he's the ugly duckling, but has he got some talent? He can run, he can mark the ball. He gets into spaces where most people don't even think of going. In that little area there where it was plenty of traffic, he got tripped and hit over the melon, but actually he just keeps finding the ball, continues to find the ball, has for 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 years he's done it. Terrific player, leading the Collingwood side very, very well.
Eagles' lead is cut back to 3 points. Remember, they kicked the first 4 goals of the game. It was one-way traffic then. Bounce back in the middle. Right on the top of Jolly's head. He jumps right over the top of him and roves his own ball, but his kick is smothered by Beams. Ball comes up the ground. The hand pass comes out from Thomas, who needs to lift further. It comes to Kerr. He somehow gets boot the ball. It goes about 2 metres. It spills here to Shuey, who kicks the Eagles inside 50, but Shaw takes a defensive mark for Collingwood. Eagles 5-1, Collingwood 4-4, 3 points the margin. The short pass still hasn't cleared the 50, and diving forward to take the mark is Blair. Little Blair thought about coming out wide to the boundary line, kicks it in short to Beams. So they'll skirt round behind the pressing forwards. Oh, the kick out wide to Didak, who dropped an absolute pudding. But he recovers, gets the hand pass to Swan, who kicks towards half forward. Jolly has gone forward from rucking and is beaten at ground level. Butler to Marston, to Kerr, back to Kerr. Kick on the bounce, taken by Kennedy, who wheels around and kicks off the left down the line. Diving mark taken by Hill for the Eagles.
2 kicks out from goal. Shuey made some space to his side, but Hill's going to put it into the pocket. It's an aimless sort of kick. It bounces virtually on the boundary and slips over to be thrown in. So the stoppage, as the Eagles just try to level things up in play at the moment. Cox wins it down to the front. Johnson took possession. Shuey wrapped him up straight away. And they wrestle to ground. Matt Nui came rushing as the third man up. Probably left a bruise on Cox as he was trying to get over the top. Cox clearly, he was looking for Nat Nui, punched away by Jolly in close confines. Pendlebury feeds it out the back. Brown gets a touch. He works it off to Johnson. Kick out of the back pocket. Cloak is up at half-back. McKenzie chopped the arms. Collingwood will claim the advantage and they're on the break. Goldsack, he used Didak. Now to Blair, bouncing through the middle. Once, twice, kicks over the top. Terrible effort. He cleared doors and put it straight down the throat of Glass.
Easy. Glass. Kick out to Marston. And Marston finds Hill 20 metres in the clear. In between half-back and wing. He directs traffic as he cruises up. Has a bounce. Kicks it half forward. Well delivered. And the mark has been taken by Darling. 75 from goal. He centres the ball to Cox. Spoiled by Pendlebury. It comes down to the front to Kerr. He follows up. Toes it inside the 50. Still going Kerr. Comes back to Darling. He traps the ball on the 50. Kerr's after it again. Underground hand pass to Lynch. Not a clean possession though. Pendlebury has it. Slings out a hand pass to Didak, who's carried forward in the tackle by Hill. Free kick to Didak on defensive 50 for the Pies, who trailed Collingwood 31-28, and we've played 7 minutes in the second quarter.
Didak just has to go and get the footy. Tossed away from him by Swan. So they all had a chance to man up ahead. Shaw made a good break and Didak didn't use him. Shaw's a bit bemused by that. The kick goes down the line to a contest and Dawes just pushed Glass out. Thomas threatened to run away with it. He's lucky not to give up 50 because that was always an Eagles free kick. Glass gives it off to Gap. Gap peers inside the 50. Hill was his man. He had 4 Magpies at the point of a square around him. And the kick had to be perfect and arrive in the nick of time. And it did both. Hill looking to become the first multiple goal scorer in the match. From 50, tight angle, sets it on a path to goal. Nat Nui leaps on the goal line. It's off his hands and through for a behind. Nat Nui might have got stood on in all of that. He's a little the worse for wear as he rises. West Coast by 4 points.
Well, he threatens to do himself an injury by hitting the ground so hard. He gets up so high.
Reeve accidentally stood on his face.
Shaw not sure which way to go. Kicks to himself. Heads off towards the Great Southern stand side. Now thumps it long. Close to the boundary line. Oh, excellent mark by Kerr. Worked his opponent under the ball and took the chest mark. Kicks towards the 50. Marston marks. 32-28. A 4-point lead to the Eagles. Kick by Marston. Hasn't got the distance. Kennedy in the goal square in any amount of height. It comes to the front. O'Brien does well for Collingwood. Bunts it back into the pack. And now it's blocked up. And the umpire will bounce right in the teeth of goals. Eagles 5-2. Collingwood 4-4. Eagles the first 4 goals. But Collingwood 4 of the next 5. Here's the bounce. Worked down by Cox. But cleared by Beams for the Pies.
It was a long kick out of the defensive area. No mark taken. Cracker, though, is onto the crumb. Good evasive skills to get on the right boot. He spreads for Wellingham forward to the play. He can run all the way to half forward. Goldsack's the only man back. Wellingham's going to take his chances and kick it straight down the throat of McKenzie. So 2 dud entries for the Magpies when there has been plenty on offer. Picking out defenders twice in a row. Out through Adam Silwood. Kick around the wing. It's not a great ball.
Good mark, Daisy.
Thomas came back in front of the pack. Short. Cracker waited. He who hesitates is lost. Cox made the spoil and comes up with the footy. Works it out the back now. Shuey, Marston, Natanui, Shuey again. He's on the broadcast wing. Short pass for Kennedy. Has a look at an open forward setup. He wants the leader coming at him in Darling. And he does come to mark. He'll have to kick it every bit of 53 metres. But from the moment he got hold of it, he had no doubt that he was up for that.
Oh, he can kick this.
It's much better play by the Eagles too. They've been bombing it inside 50 for the long kick. All of a sudden they lower their eyes and start chipping into Kennedy and Darling. Look what happens. They've got a shot on goal.
It is a long-range shot for Jack Darling. Skips his way up to 52. He wobbles it at goal. It's gone most of the way. It is punched out our way across the face. It stayed in. It gives the Eagles a second look. O'Brien had to lay the tackle on McGinnity and get it out of bounds.
Kelly.
Daniel Kerr's gone down into the rooms. He's had a problem all night with this gash. It looks like maybe there's some boots. A boot has stood on the top of his hand, and he's down in the rooms getting more treatment.
One in the ruck by Jolly for Collingwood. He kicks to centre half back. It's an awkward ball taken by Embley, slung to ground. Here come the Pies. Towed forward for Cracker. Bradbury hasn't got it. Play on though. He slips the tackle. Touches the ball down. Centres the ball to Johnson, who marks inside the square and then falls on his backside. Finds Pendlebury. Back to Jolly, and the kick out wide is ill-directed and gives the Eagles a chance. It's taken by Hill, who sweeps a hand pass up looking for Lynch, but it is chopped off back there by Tarrant. He kept the ball alive, looked as though it was out. He kicks down the line looking for Dawes, who does take the ball out, but it's 50 metres up the ground. Half forward for the Pies. Eagles lead 32-28. We've had just one goal in this quarter, that to Collingwood, and we've been playing 12 minutes. Tackle laid by Sidebottom. Yes! Oh, it's in the back, says the umpire. You might get home safely, Mr. Schmidt.
It took a long time to come up with the in the back. Marston to Priddis, kick beyond halfway. Spoil was made on Kennedy, but he gets it anyway. Hand pass to Priddis, they all come at him. The Magpies are swarming at the Eagles and come up with it. Shaw had a kick which was touched. It lands on the wing. It sits for Dawes, who put the forearm through Shuey and got away with it. Thomas gave it up to Fasolo, who was down in a tackle. This has ratcheted up. It'll be bounced on the members' wing. Fasolo tags out. There's not a crush of players around it. About 6 pairs at the bounce. Cox knocks it defensive side of the pack. Embley slides into it. Has to release it. Pendlebury gets hold of it. Down as he kicked it. And it falls in short. Gaff up beyond halfway for West Coast. Lynch playing from behind. Knocked it down near McGinnity. Worked off it by Shaw. Tarrant is pushed in the back. Turnabout's fair play. Schmidt's paid both of them. They were 2 Schmidt decisions, Drew.
You forgot the house.
Here's Tarrant from near halfback. Up towards half forward. Cloak in the middle. Oh, Selwood with courage. That is Adam Selwood in front of the big fella as he charged at it to fist the ball out of play. Eagles 5-2. Pies 4 goals 4. Low scoring second quarter. Sidebottom gets it through the pack, but chopped off by Embley. Spirals the ball towards half forward, and it's knocked to the boundary line. Reid and Brown combining. It's interesting that Nathan Brown is playing for Collingwood. His twin brother Mitch Brown is an emergency for the Eagles. Otherwise we'd have twins on opposing sides here tonight. Boundary throw in, one by Cox down to Shuey. Oh, and this kick goes to Marston, back to Shuey, and Shuey's kick is smothered out of bounds. Well done by Sharad Wellingham.
Very interesting time of the game now, Drew. Very, very interesting time of the game. Which way is it going to go?
Players throwing themselves at it 1,000,000 miles an hour, but the scoreboard is stationary.
Daisy Thomas got it at the back of the throw, and his kick is cut off by Brennan, who's taken off it by Fasolo, and Cracker pulls it clear. Sets it inside the 50. Goldsack was the target. He's wrestling with Glass. Goldsack gets hold of it. Borks gets it to the right boot. Kicked it for Shaw, who slides but doesn't mark. Feeds it on to Didak. Instinctively to the teeth of goal. Cloak sets himself. McKenzie got a fist in there. He gets it to the boundary. Desperate defence. It's a tussle. It's West Coast by 4 points. The Magpies pressing to the punt road goal at the throw in. Cox wins it down. Scott Selwood taken at the moment he got hold of it. And there it stays to be bounced. Kelly.
Kerr is back from the rooms. He's out on the ground, Jared. His left hand is quite swollen, but he's refused to have it strapped, so he's going to play through this painful left hand injury.
Cox wins the hit out. Shark by Pendlebury, who swings towards goal. Hasn't made the distance from 30. Up and down the mine shaft. It didn't go any distance. The mark was taken by Beams, but the mark not paid. Play on, says the umpire. Cracker taken to ground. How does he see that? Ooh, no decision made. He's coming in to bounce. Well, it was one of those kicks. It went about 30 metres, but it went 15 up and 15 down. I don't think it went 15 across. Actually, a replay from the camera on the moon indicated it might have gone forward. Out of the pack, taken by Prittis. He gets the ball across to Hearn, to Embley. High ball outside the 50. Arriving is Shaw to take the mark for the Pies. He centres the ball to Pendlebury, who marks 52 out. He plays on, but his kick is smothered by the injured Kerr. Gets inside the 50, though. Fighting hard for the ball here is Dawes. 45 metres from goal. Collingwood desperate. They've kicked the only goal of the quarter. Eagles have not scored
1 point.
Apart from just one behind in 16 and a half minutes. 4 points the margin in favour of the visitors.
There's not a breath of space to be had around it now. Nat Nui knocks it underfoot, kicked out of there by Embley. It gathers some territory. Shaw sets himself trying to take the intercepting mark. It was spoiled from him. Johnson got caught. Terrific tackle by Lynch. And that will get the Eagles out of defence. Lynch has just got to work out how to use it.
Long.
With his best kick in the Cox direction. Brown came up to make the spoil. Collingwood with numbers at the drop. Side bottom hooks it around to the wing. Marston went the punch. It might come off. McGinnity's tracking it. Oh, he didn't really go at it at the end. Left it there for Dawes. Kerr went at it all right. He knocked it down to Prittis, who was held the moment he got hold of it. The umpire into bounce. As the cauldron builds, both within and without the fence.
Well, this is like nearly all of our finals. Absolute red-hot go between two teams having a crack. Kerr ducked his head and charged through the pack. Loses control of the ball. And it's taken here by side bottom for Collingwood. But a high kick is marked in defence for the Eagles by Brennan. Schofield down the line. And the mark has been taken by Marston. In between wing and half forward. Eagles going to the city end. The kick by Marston. All Collingwood. And the mark taken by Tarrant, who started in horrible fashion, but he's come good since then. 4 points the lead to the Eagles.
Tarrant short out of the back pocket for Tuvey. This has to take a physical toll on the players who aren't quite covering the ground the way they have been for the past few minutes. Tuvey down the line. There are pairs of players everywhere. Schofield up over the top of Jolly to make the spoil. And everyone's happy for it to go out of bounds.
Some people may hate this, but this is pure, real good tussle stuff. This is what finals are built on. And who's going to bust first? Who's the one who's going to fall over?
West Coast by 4 points. Jolly put it under the pack. Kerr got hold of it, dropped it to his boot, but he couldn't kick it any further than Reed. He looks on the spread. He watched a few options dry up. He's gone across the 50. It's okay. Brown takes the mark just before the cavalry arrives. O'Brien's trying to get loose. Tuvey has done so. He's at half back. Thomas is out on the broadcast side, and it will come to him via Reed. No, Reed goes further down the line. Shaw dropped the mark. Oh, he did get a fist in there to knock it to Thomas, who's under pressure. He works it out with Shaw, whose hand pass misses Thomas. And between the two of them, they muck it up. And it goes out of bounds.
They've had the opportunities this quarter, the Pies, inside 50, and then between the arcs, they just can't be efficient.
Reece Shaw's great at telling other teammates what to do. Who's going to tell him this time? Here come the Eagles from Embley's kick inside the 50. Knocked on by Hill. It gets to 30, gets to 20. O'Brien has it for Collingwood. Dispossessed in a good tackle, and the ball goes to the boundary line. Well played by Hill. Josh Hill after it hard and making sure that ball stays on the forward line. Eagles still looking for their first goal of this quarter, and we're nearly 20 minutes in. Throw in, forward pocket. Nat Nui comes from behind. Kennedy bursts through. Hand pass to Kerr. Outside of the boot. He kicks for goal. It bounces, but only through for a point. They've scored just 2 behinds in this second quarter. The Eagles are 5 3, leading Collingwood 4-4. 20 minutes gone.
Kick in marked by Tuvey in the back pocket, who wants to get play moving quickly to half back, and Blair is open. He has a look down the field. He's gone for Cloak, who sets himself against McKenzie. McKenzie does enough to square the contest. Holds it up at ground level. Fasolo's trying to get hold of it. He does. He runs to the 50. Hand pass to Didak onto the left boot. He sends it to full forward. Magpies need a marker. Eagles have the spoilers. Adam Selwood got onto it. Crackers worked off it by Hearn. Hearn lost it though. Sidebottom is running away from goal. He's given up 20 on the run and 30 on the kick. And Pendlebury has it at half forward. Sends it short back for Sidebottom. There's 2 good kicks out from goal. There's very little to work with forward. So he's going backward through Pendlebury and now into the middle of the ground for Shaw.
He better be careful here.
Yep. He's had his moments. He'll work it off short for Tuvey. Adjacent to the centre circles and now across them for Beams. The Magpies had one loose in Thomas. He didn't see him. The kick is more direct. Blair with the whole pack coming at him underfoot. Butler kicks it away in a hurry. A bouncing ball. Beams should get it back. He's turned away though. He's under really good pressure from Shuey. Has to kick it backwards to the wing.
He kicked a few backwards in the last 5 minutes. It comes to Tarrant. He kicks one forwards. Here comes Nick Nat. Big leap but no mark. McGinnity ducks his head into a tackle. Play-on, says the umpire. Good contest. He's going to ball it up here on the 50, close to the boundary line. There is a massive pack around this. Nat Nui over the top. Palms it down to Kerr, who gets free. Hand pass away to Marston. Standing start, kick towards centre wing. Cox out number 2-1. No mark, it comes to the front. Tarrant traps well, but then loses it to McGinnity. Fires out the hand pass to Cox. The big fella on the run. Inside the 50. Kennedy's there. Knocked forward to Hill. Hill with an open goal. And he hits the post. He hits the post from wide out and about 40 metres from goal. And Josh Hill has kicked 1 goal, 2 tonight. And they have kicked 3 behinds only in this quarter, the Eagles, and lead 5-4 to 4-4.
Shaw's kick in was strong and effective. Reed has it at the defensive 50. Not a lot of movement up ahead. Kick to Jolly and Nat Nui, who set themselves. Jolly paddles it to the side. Marston worked off it by Didak. Hand pass to Jolly. Collingwood forward the middle on that kick. The bounce. Fasolo comes at it, so does Cloak. Fasolo took it cleanly. Has to feed it back, but he gave it straight up to Butler. That was unusual. Now to Lynch and to Gaff. Kick around the wing. Kerr was dispossessed by Pendlebury, who won that contest, and then goes spinning past Lynch. Pendlebury was dynamic.
How good was
and
that?
He kicked for Swan, who dropped the mark in the pocket. Adam Selwood wrapped him up, took him
So
high.
high.
Swan had his head down, charging at Adam Selwood.
Pendlebury, gee whiz, he should go to the Australian Ballet Company for their new season.
It was terrific, wasn't it?
Dane Swan. He'll start outside the boundary. I'm not sure that was a free kick, but to try to ride his luck from 46 metres, he's put it out across the face. Nick Nat Nui leaps up and punches it through for the conceded score. It's the Eagles by 5 points. About 90 seconds to play in the half.
We might have had about 160 possessions in this quarter for 1 goal. Hearn kicks in for the Eagles. And running for him is Shuey. Plays on, over half back. Oh, Reed in the middle of the pack. He was up beautifully, but wasn't paid the mark. It comes to Lynch. Lynch kicks the Eagles inside 50. A front-on challenge. No free kick against Collingwood. Tarrant gets the hand pass out. Shaw down the line. Wellingham at full stretch. Couldn't take the mark. Taken off the deck by Hill. His hand pass astray. Johnson gathers for Collingwood. Hand pass into Dawes on centre wing. Standing start. Kicks towards the 50. A punch away by Selwood. Into the path of Hearn, who sockets it out of mid-air. Gains about 50 metres. Half back to half forward. Taken here by Darling. Hand pass away. McGinnity on the 50. He goes for goal. There's nobody home. Yes, there is. And the mark taken by Hill, who sprinted to the goal square and has taken the mark and will kick the Eagles' first goal of the quarter. been really good, Josh Hill. There goes the goal. 6-4 to 4-5. Well, was it a read, Mark?
Oh, it was a read, Mark, but sometimes that happens. It's part of the game. Don't worry about it. Move on. But Hill's been very dangerous up forward, incredibly dangerous. And this has been a super quarter. 1 goal each. At this stage, the West Coast Eagles won the first quarter, and now they're going to win the second quarter. They've staved off a hell of a lot of fight up, down, back, and I love what Glass and Schofield and all these, and McKenzie and those guys down there Brennan, who's done it, and Hearn, they've fought like hell to keep the ball out of there and stop the Pies scoring goals. Well done to West Coast. They've been right in it, been tough, been hard. It's been terrific, and I loved every second of it.
22 seconds to create something from the bounce. It'll leave the circles and should have been called back. It was a Schmidt bounce. Prentice kicked it forward to the middle. Off the ground goes Marston, but he's been intercepted by Shaw. He plays the southern wing for Thomas. He's on the break. He's against the clock. His kick is too wide, and it slips away from Didak. And that should be the end of the scoring in the half. Nathan Buckley leaves the coach's box as the ball is thrown back into play. Swan at the back of the stoppage, knocked off it by Kerr, and that is half-time.
Kerr's hurt here.
Punishing stuff.
Kerr
is slow to rise. Is he grasping at his shoulder? He tries to lift himself off the turf.
Good old solar plexus, I reckon, Jared. Okay. He's got a fair old wind in.
So it was Wellingham coming in. They seemed to go hip to hip as they were heading in low at the ball. There was certainly nothing untoward about it, but it was a hard hit, by the way. Kerr bounced.
Yep.
And he's going to need assistance to leave the field. So the Eagles are gathering around Kerr, who can't quite peel himself up off the MCG. The Magpies trot away and from the grounds. The Oz kick officials are heading out, while the Eagles are still trying to lift their last man. He's up and walking, Daniel Kerr. Half-time in the first semi-final. 6-4-40 West Coast, 4-5-29 Collingwood. A punishing 26.5 minutes played in that second term. An 11-point lead. The goal kickers, 2 for Hill, 1 each to Kerr, Cox, Darling and McGinnity. For Collingwood, it's 1 each to O'Brien, Pendlebury, Jolly and Swan. It's all unfolding on Grandstand AFL.
Kerr, 8 contested possessions in that half of football. Boy, does he throw himself in it hard.
Chris Grant, Mark McClure.
Yeah, well, it's an interesting game of footy. Came out of the blocks West Coast in the first quarter and just blew 4 goals onto the scoreboard straight away with really good skills, good movement of the ball, really positive way they started the game. Pies started fumbling and bumbling around the place, and then all of a sudden, about the 20-minute mark of the quarter, they started to take control of the game. The West Coast won the first quarter quite comfortably by 9 points, I think it was at that stage. And then all of a sudden the second quarter started. We didn't know what was going to happen. The ball went into the Pies forward line. Different side, I wrote down on the side. They're a different side of what we've seen the Pies. They're now hard tackling. They're now but they've also had lots of mistakes. But that's what comes with this sort of football. You've got to put up with that. You've got to have numbers around it. I put down there that Shaw really likes to play it in defence, and we watched that. I see, Harry O'Brien's done a very good job. Terrence worked himself back into the game, and Pendlebury, of course, has been a superstar through the midfield with Swan. West Coast have Kerr, Marston, and Shuey and Hill. Hill up forward has been terrific. Cox continues to play very, very well. Very smart player how he uses the ball. Good fight that quarter. They wrestled for the whole quarter inside 50, but they couldn't get in. Really, it was unbelievable what they did. West Coast kicked 1 goal, 3 and won the quarter. 1 goal, 3 and you win a quarter of football in AFL football, you've got to be kidding. And the opposition kicked 1 goal, 1 for the quarter, and they probably had 180 possessions between the two of them. It was a weird quarter of football, but tough, strong, uncompromising, and exactly how you'd like it.
Well, you want the cream to come to the top in these types of games, and I guess in a lot of ways, West Coast, they're not just low. I guess their ability to go forward, they're relying too much on the tools like Kennedy and Lynch, Darling, and the 2 rucks are resting in the forward pocket, that being Cox and Nat Nui. But the midfield players who actually get the ball in their hands, they're falling for the old trick of just going long to them. They're trying to take the pressure off themselves. I guess trying to actually put the Collingwood defence under pressure, but in a lot of ways, what that's doing is allowing the Collingwood defence to actually just play off their man and actually push back into those marking contests. So in a lot of ways, West Coast need to be able to fix up their forward entries. There was one occasion where they went to Kennedy really low, just outside 50, and then he looked up quickly and then got Darling just inside 50 for a shot on goal. But other than that, they've just been bombing it in, and it really hasn't been working for them. Unlike the first quarter where they got it in, and when there was a marking contest, they actually got fleet of foot around it and actually made those opportunities count. Collingwood, well, they fluffed their chances. Inside 50, some horrendous kicks going inside 50. They've certainly worked themselves back into the contest, but their ability to turn the ball over at the moment is just really hurting them, and they only got the one goal as reward for all of the good work that they were doing. They were defending pretty well, Collingwood. They really were defending very well, but forward to centre, they weren't making the most of their opportunities. Pendlebury, while we talk about the cream rising to the top in September, well, Pendlebury's just been outstanding. He's had it 17 times, but just the way he uses it, always gives it to someone in a better position. Beam's working very hard. I think he had 9 possessions in the first half, and he's had 7 in the second. Didak has really risen to the challenge. We probably wrote him off, or I certainly did before the game even started. I just didn't think he'd have the fitness for September to play any real part in tonight's game, but he's had it 16 times. And for the Eagles, Maston's just been terrific. Kerr, outstanding. You said it, Drew. The ability to just will himself into those contested situations. 14 possessions and 8 contested. Look, it's a game. It's a close game. It's 11 points on the scoreboard, but it's a lot closer than that in the contest.
Half-time at the MCG. West Coast 6-4-40, leading Collingwood 4-5-29.
And West Coast seeing if they can get to a grand final from 5th. It's happened only once before. Start of the second half. An 11-point lead to the Eagles. The bounce straight on Nat Nui's head, and he palms it beautifully to Scott Selwood. Hand pass out, and it comes to Gaff. His kick out wide to half-forward flank. Cox had started forward, tries to palm off his opponent. He does so, but the ball is there, up for grabs and down the line. Harry O'Brien with a beautiful little lace-out pass to Sidebottom, who finds Swan on the logo. Swan kicks to half-forward. Well delivered, and the mark taken by Fasolo, who for a little bloke can mark overhead.
And kick.
He'll have to kick from about 55 metres. Going to the city end. Oh, he's got Daisy Thomas, who leaves his man and comes out and marks 5 metres in front. Was his man Natanui? Can't see anybody in the vicinity who's the same size. That's a funny old matchup.
Hearn's his man, has been for some time. He's playing a defensive on Hearn, and Hearn's their real ball mover. Great kick by Fasolo. How good was that? Beautiful kick by Swan. Great kick by Fasolo. Good finish if he finishes this off.
This to make it a 5-point game. In the corridor, 30 out. Thomas kicks the goal. Great start for the Pies at the start of the second half. And it's Eagles 6-4-40, Collingwood 5-5-35.
Yeah, great start for the Pies. And set up by Harry O'Brien. Really good work down here in the back half. Put his body in line. He's actually much better tonight. This is as good as I've seen. Back to almost his best, Harry. Really doing some good work. And good chip pass inside to Swan. Swan takes it. Good clean ball again. Efficiency we talk about all the time. Where you've been 60, 70, 80%. That was absolutely perfect. That was 100% all the way through to the end. And Daisy Thomas on the end of it. Good kick by Fasolo. Just hit his kick, and all of a sudden Daisy just led up into a space where there was plenty of room and got hit right on the chest. Great stuff.
Eagles by 5 points, bounce back in the middle. Jolly and Nat Nui. Nat Nui knocks it down, but Jolly took possession, worked it off to Pendlebury, found a way through yet again. First and through the second wave, kicks inside the 50 for Solo, couldn't hang on. McKenzie's under pressure, the ball is loose. Thomas is onto it, he gathers, snaps, and puts the Pies in front. Thomas with 2 in 2 minutes. And for the first time since the opening score of the night, the Magpies lead 6-5 to 6-4.
Go for it, Drew.
Oh, listen to the roar for Thomas. 2 goals, bang, bang, and straight to the bench.
And listen to the crowd just in general. They've just risen to the occasion. Collingwood needed to come out and just put that mental pressure on the West Coast Eagles. You can't forget they've come over here, believe it or not, almost as favourites. Well, they are a long way from home, and this is a very parochial Collingwood crowd. They're up against it. A real challenge here now for the Eagles players. Can they respond?
Bounce back in the middle. Natanui up a mile. Backhands the ball down. There's a whistle on the play. Held when not in possession, Pendlebury, and he'll take the free kick from the bullseye. Pendlebury off the left. On the lead is Cloak. Man in front had a fair grasp of it, but no mark paid to Glass. Yes, it was. Darren Glass for the Eagles. Kelly.
Willingham started on the bench, as you mentioned earlier, but he's back out there now.
Off to Pendlebury, to Embley. Not a great kick out in front of Darling. And it bounced basically off his boots, skidded over the boundary. So this is up on the southern wing. Magpies leading. Cox gets his fist to it, knocks it down to the front. Scott Selwood had to get out of the Swan tackle. He lost the ball in doing so. Swan's kick goes sideways, not 15. Wellingham took it. He was in a tackle straight away. He released it. Pendlebury is killing them. He kicks up the full forward. Cloak in front. McKenzie made the spoil. Butler's at the drop. Hand passed up to Adam Selwood, out across the face for Glass.
Glass gets it outside the 50. On the bounce, ball taken by Schofield. He's caught in a great tackle by Goldsack, who goes in again. Tyson Goldsack, magnificent. Not one but two, but they've lost it. Scott Selwood's hand pass backwards. It's trouble here for the Eagles. Collingwood pressing on the forward line. Pendlebury lets the tackle slip though. It comes away, and the Eagles running out of defence. Comes to Shuey, off to Gaff, who runs through the wing. Draws a man, hand pass to Lynch, back to Gaff. What a game this youngster's played. Lazily bounces it and centres the ball. Cox takes the mark, 48 metres from goal. Magnificent football by the Eagles. Kelly.
An unbelievable hit between Brennan it was and Goldsack, and Brennan is sore. He's hurt his right shoulder. He's come to the bench, so brave. He laid a couple of big bumps on his way to the bench, but he's in all sorts of trouble down here.
Well, he hasn't had a possession, Brennan, but he's had a couple of contests to be remembered. Now Dean Cox kicking from 50 metres out. The punt road end. It swings away with a bit of a slice, and it's marked on the behind line. Terrific mark taken by Darling. The Collingwood player saying, well, it's over the line, isn't it? But Darling is allowed to have taken the mark inside the field of play by a millimetre, and he's around at the tightest of angles. No distance, but he could nearly jam this ball between the posts. Well, after a second quarter which gave up only 2 goals, we might have a lot in the third quarter if this continues. He's hesitant, he runs around, hooks it back off the left, but he doesn't hook it back at all. It's out of bounds in the opposite pocket. And they run at Darling and say, cop this one. Brown's into him.
Heath Shaw has often gone. He's had a couple of bounces out of full-back and delivering around the southern side. Trapped on the boot by Sidebottom, who keeps his footing. Delivers into the middle for Blair. Had to reach up and get it. Flicks the hand pass to O'Brien. The Magpies moving smoothly through the middle. Tarrant's gone forward. He's the target. He took the bouncing ball. Kicked the full forward. Who can get there? Thomas is closing. Hearn keeps him away and pushes it through for a behind. The Magpies lead by 2.
Daisy Thomas has been the spark for the Pies in this third quarter. Gaff marks the kick in. He's run down by Wellingham. You're holding the ball.
How many tackles they laid this quarter?
Wellingham plays on quickly and finds Cloak near the boundary line, 55 out. Cloak goes bang with a monster. Thomas is there. Hearn over the shoulder. It's going to be a free kick to Daisy, who's going to get a hat trick in 7 minutes.
Oh, I reckon it was insignificant contact. Had nothing to do with the contest.
Thomas from the goal square gets his third. What a transformation. And Collingwood, who were 4 goals down early in the game, now lead by 8 points, 7-6 to 6-4.
Big turnaround, big movement. Pendlebury got the ball back into the side. Harry O'Brien starting to move the ball. Shaw moving the ball, and also just taking them on and hitting the spots. Kick it to the top of the square, put pressure on the opposition, and Daisy Thomas has been the recipient of all that. Kicked 3 for the quarter, the only goal kicker for the Pies, and it's all been him on Hearn, which is exactly what they want. They want him as a defensive forward on Hearn, and he's done his job by kicking 3. The big turnaround, enormous tackle counts, goal sacks 3 or 4 in a row, enormous example sent by all the Collingwood players.
Magpie fans having their voices heard, their team lead by 8. Jolly probably won the tap, but off the ground goes Cox. Up to the 50. Embley might have been taken without it. Kerr sweeps it up off the deck, delivers to full forward. Kennedy trying to get loose, kept away from it by Reid. And the ball rolls out of play, 5 around from the behind post. Kelly Underwood.
Rosa is the sub for the Eagles. He's been warming up down here. Of course, he's coming back from a collarbone, and Brennan has been down in the rooms with an injured collarbone.
Priddis at the stoppage, took them on, and Swan got him. Pulled him down, holding the ball. Swan at fullback. Short ball for Wellingham, who marked and showed very little intention to move it. Backward he goes to Swan, and into the back pocket for O'Brien. So the Magpies chip it around in defence. Swan again makes the play. He marks at the defensive 50, has to get around Cox and does. Kicks down the line. Goldsack was his target. Glass made the spoil. They wrestle over the ball, man to man. The umpire comes in to settle it with a bounce between the wing and half forward for the Eagles. It's the Pies by 8.
9.5 minutes gone in the third quarter. There's the bounce. Cox bunts it down. Comes to Priddis. Flies out a hand pass. O'Brien is there. He is monstered as he's over the ball. Umpire says play on, and now whistles it up, and it'll be a ball up.
Big difference in this quarter, big change. It was 9 tackles to 2. The Pies in front in that area. 9 to 2 at the 9-minute mark.
Jolly and Cox having a jolly old wrestle, and Jolly wins the hit out to the man of the third quarter, Daisy Thomas. Here he is at half-back flank. He's kicked 3 goals. He kicks towards centre wing. Collingwood outnumbered 2-1, and right in the middle, Dawes might have taken a mark. Not paid, it comes through. Side bottom has it, near the boundary line. He kicks the cloak inside the 50. He juggles. Did he get first touch? He has to win it at ground level now. And it's gone over the boundary line, and we'll have a throw in about 45 metres from goal. Brown did well on Cloak on that occasion to keep it away from the big fella. Here's the throw in. Cox double hands it down. Ground level contest. Back towards Thomas near the boundary line. He keeps it alive for the Pies. Beams works it back to Tuvey, who kicks towards full forward. Clever mark taken by Glass.
Ball falls from his grasp, gets it back and plays on with a hand pass to Kerr. Looking beyond the defensive 50, it's not a great kick. Tarrant spoils Lynch. Priddis tried to get through, got caught, hand passed up in the air. Kerr trying to work it out again from underfoot. Tuvey holds him up. The umpire has a good look, lets them sort it out for themselves. Darling muscled his way clear. Use it to Priddis, now to Scott Selwood, who breaks around the wing, feeds it up the hill. He shoots it onto Shuey. He's had a bounce and a second. He'll work the hand pass up to the 50. Cox takes it, gives it to Embley. Standing start, poor kick to full forward. Reid was well favoured, and he takes the intercepting mark away from Nat Nui.
Collingwood leading by 8 points until this burst in the third quarter. The only time they led was when they kicked the first behind of the game. Across to Beams. He kicks up to centre wing. Guess who? Thomas takes the mark and runs goalwards. Has a bounce. Nearly run down from behind by Selwood. He kicks to centre half forward and Cracker marks. 52 metres from goal. Oh, he runs around the man on the mark. Runs back into him and then snaps from 47. It's away to the left. Just got over the line, through for a minor score. Andrew Cracker. He had a goal on the board in the first quarter, taken off him by the video review, and so that is his first score for the night of behind. 49 plays 40, Collingwood.
Schofield to kick in. We've gone 12.5 minutes of the third term. Schofield plays for himself and delivers long outside the 50. Lynch up into the pack. Kerr stays down and he'll run onto the ball at the back. He dabs down the line for Hill, who's in the wide open spaces. He'll have a bounce and look up toward the 50. McGinnity's making the play. He stands, tried to mark one-handed, couldn't. Pulls it clear of the pack. O'Brien brings him down. Naitanui gets it. He snaps across the face of goal. And it goes skidding out next to the behind post to be thrown in. So they'll all reconvene deep forward. Cox plants himself, wins the tap. Prittis stripped of the ball by Pendlebury. Hand passed in hope, and he did well. He got it out to side bottom, who kicks in a hurry close to the boundary. And it bounces over. Purpose served for Collingwood to get it out to half-back. Kelly Underwood.
Brennan is going to play on with this injured shoulder. He's been down in the rooms. He's had it treated. He's back out there. Matt Rosa, the sub, has sat back down.
Well, John Worsfold must be happy with the way he's going, even though he hasn't had a possession. It comes to Kerr. Throws it on the boot. Gets it inside the 50. But the man in defence takes the mark. Reid.
How's he go?
Oh, really good game. Taken 6 marks, coming up for his 13th possession, which he gets away to Johnson. Near defensive 50 for Collingwood. Off the left goes Johnson towards centre wing. Jolly in front, spoiled by Lynch. Comes to Kerr. Immediate hand pass out to Embley. Hurried kick up short of the 50. Kennedy lays a tackle as in the back. Pies fans thought so. Embley there dispossessed by Wellingham. Comes to Johnson. Hand pass bounces to Cracker, who's taken high on the tackle. And he'll get a ball. Play on, says the umpire. What are you going to do? Embley ripped him high. Gerard, I have to say it again. It is umpire Schmidt.
It is in keeping with his body of work. Left half forward. Ruckman lean into each other. Actually, they kept each other away from it. And in all of that was a free kick against Lynch to Jolly. Jolly will use it as a squaring ball for side bottom out of centre half back. He's gone for Shaw. The numbers are against him. Hill made a good spoil and gather. He's at half back. He needs an option on the outlet, and Brennan has made the space. He'll mark and gets a chance to come up with his first possession. And he's going to kick it backwards. He hasn't gained any territory.
No, he'll get it back. He'll get his second.
Hill up to Glass. Glass onto the right boot to halfway for Embley. Embley looks at half forward. On the lead is Kennedy, who hasn't been a factor.
Much better movement by the West Coast, chipping it around, holding the ball. 2
kicks out from goal. He goes into the pocket. Naitanui jumps at it, brought it down. Marston was at the drop. His hand pass wasn't great. Naitanui barges through. Hand pass to Lynch. Now to Marston. Sideways, Shuey, brave. Coming the other way was Goldsack to make the spoil. Hits on at the drop. Kerr takes hold of Goldsack, who never had it. And that is holding the man.
Goldsack back in defence. Kicks the ball deep backwards, and Jolly takes the mark. He gets it outside the 50 to Thomas. And Thomas has had a terrific third quarter. And a pass lace out to Swan at half back. Thomas 7 possessions in this third quarter and 3 goals. Collingwood have only kicked 3 in the quarter. He's got the lot. Swan over centre wing to a pack. Slapped out of there by Lynch towards the boundary line, and he finds it. And we get a boundary throw in. Collingwood 7-7, lead West Coast 6-4. And a reminder that the Eagles kicked the first 4 goals of the game. So Collingwood have kicked 7 of the last 9. Lynch works it down. Prittis uses his body. Thomas, what a hand pass out to Wellingham. He kicks the full forward. Cloak out number 2-1. Taken to ground. No whistle, umpire Schmidt. Chance for Cracker. He does a U-turn. Is tumbled to ground. Hand passes over his head towards the goal square. Desperation stakes near the behind line, and the ball is still there. The umpire having a close look, and it's gone over for a behind to the Pies. Careful, Reshaw, with your knees.
So Hearn up on the kick in without hesitation as far as he can. It's a good play. Shuey marks and Gaff runs shotgun. Feeding the hand pass, and he kicks down the line. This is a beautiful move. Schofield marked at half forward. He had a bounce and a second. He sprints into the pocket. He takes a third. Schofield rolls it across the face. And he misses out big time.
Why?
Should have been a certain goal.
Why do they try and kick these unusual kicks for goal when they have a chance to kick an easy one.
That was absolutely beautiful until the kick at the end. Collingwood by 9.
It was a good chase by Thomas, who was never going to catch him, but he kept on chasing even though he's absolutely stuffed, and put him off just enough to make sure the shot for goal missed. Goldsack marks the kick in and comes down the line. Dawes throws himself hard at it and takes the mark, and an encouraging cheer from the Collingwood fans. Haven't seen much of it. That's his third mark for the night, Dawes. He's had just 6 possessions. We're 18 minutes into the third quarter. He kicks over centre wing. All Eagles, and Glass pretty much jumped all over Wellingham to take the mark. Short pass in, finds Hill. Further short pass inboard, finds Gaff, back edge of the centre square. Flags hanging limply. Perfect night for footy. We've had a perfect game of footy. Up short to Glass, now short to Prittis. Low zooming pass, diving in Cox. Well, the umpire blew the whistle and played the mark, even though he laid it like an egg.
Cox is up. He does go the deep kick inside the 50. Darling came hard. Reed the other way to make the spoil. Brown the chip on the way out. Butler's coming from the bench. Wellingham got there first. Butler wraps Wellingham up with the ball. Wellingham's trying to get away. Butler did a great job. He pulled the ball clear, hand pass to Gaff, got it onto his boot, but Reed is impenetrable. And he stands against the Eagles again. Oh, his kick going across is not great. Marston should have got a hand on it, and he did it. Pendlebury's able to gather. He's got to stay away from Marston. Get it onto the left boot. He's got support. Pendlebury never panics. He floats the kick up to Goldsack.
He must have been some sort of basketballer, Pendles. Played juniors for Australia. All the skills when they're all around him. Unbelievable. Further across the ground it comes to Reed. And he kicks it wide to Shaw, who marks it right half back. And gets on his bike straight away. Has a couple of bounces. Does a big U-turn and then kicks it out towards the wing to Johnson, who marks on the broadcast side. He would love to have played on, but McGinnity got hold of him. Johnson over the top. Pendlebury. What a game. He kicks beautifully to Cloak, who marks overhead, but he's 70 metres from goal. Kick by Cloak down towards the pocket. Chance here for Collingwood. Oh, hands to it, but he couldn't take the mark, Dawes, and the ball spills over the boundary line, and we get a throw in. Collingwood leads 7-8 to 6 goals 5. Their margin 9 points.
At the throw in the forward pocket, Swan had to go third man up. He did win it down. Beams hand pass defensively, side bottom to Cloak, not without a hope from 50. He swings it at the goal front. Oh, it hit the post. It did everything but get through. Took an inside portion of the post. Collingwood by 10 points.
That's his first score for the night. Dawes is scoreless. They've kicked 3 goals this quarter, Collingwood. All to Dale Thomas. The Eagles have come in short, and Adam Selwood marks, kicks to a pack over half back. Players hit the ground hard. Kerr gathers off the deck, slings out a hand pass, knocked on by Embley. This is terrific. Running onto it is Marston just forward of the wing, but he can't gather. He's under pressure. Blair right on his hammer, and Blair wins the ball. Hand pass back to Pendlebury, who had to go back and fetch it. Pendlebury off the left, kicks up towards centre wing. Didn't quite carry. Comes to Swan, who's quick off the mark. He does look slow, but he must be quick. Gets the hand pass out, and the short pass by Sidebottom, and the mark dropped by Fasolo in the forward pocket, just when it was looking like a terrific build-up for the Pies. And Fasolo rubs his fingers through his hair, saying, "What have I done?" Should have marked it.
At the resulting throw-in, comes underfoot. Swan's got a good run at it against the boundary. His hand pass was loose. Prittis down by Fasolo. Kerr gets through to mop up. They all come at him. He tried to feed the hand pass to Embley. He tried to hand pass off an opponent's boot. But the umpires are satisfied that it wasn't out on the floor. Oh no, they want to have a little conference. They're calling the umpire from the next suburb.
Here's your mate.
No, it's definitely a free kick, Jared.
You reckon it's out on the floor?
Definitely, yeah. Came off the foot and went straight over the line.
Okay, so the umpire
guess what? They're going to throw it in. How do you work that out?
Tossed in, left forward pocket for Collingwood. Dawes gets his hand to it. Beams to Cracker, feeds it out the back to Johnson. Great side step to open it up. He takes the shot at goal. It might come up a metre short. Cloak and McKenzie, they all propel themselves at it. It didn't go over the line. Embley brings it clear for Pritis.
Gee, they're holding up pretty well, West Coast. They've been under enormous pressure the whole quarter. They're hanging in there.
Absolutely under siege. Kick beyond the defensive 50. They need a relieving mark. Lynch is in front. Spoils are put on though. And it's back out of play. 55 from the Collingwood goal.
23 minutes played, third quarter. And Collingwood lead by 10 points. Eagles led by 9 at quarter time and by 11 at half time. But it's been Collingwood's third quarter. It comes to Pendlebury, is ripped to the ground. He loses it. Gaff gets the hand pass away to Pritis. Pritis' hand pass to Cox, back edge of the centre square. Not a great hand pass by the big fella. It's intercepted here by Beams. Off the ground now by Goldsack with a hand pass back to Didak, who kicks long to full forward. The ball bounces on, gets away from the goal square and goes out of bounds in the forward pocket. But still a dangerous spot for the Eagles' defence. In this quarter, Collingwood have kicked 3 goals for, and the Eagles just 1 behind. After they'd made such a great start to the game, Cox wins the hit out. Goes goalwards for Collingwood. Fasolo snaps and hooks it back too far across the face of goal, and are behind his second score for the night, an 11-point lead to Collingwood.
Hearn to kick in. Didn't have a long target, and he kicked it out of bounds in the full as he tried to place it for Embley. They're on the brink of coming unstuck, West Coast.
It's been enormous pressure, Jared. Incredible pressure. They just put pressure on them every time they get the ball. They get smashed with a tackle. Huge quarter of football by the Pies.
It's the Collingwood of old.
They've been building for a quarter before that too.
Yep.
Tackles of 54-40.
Blair out of the gutter. Over on the left of the goal. From 49 metres out, Blair gives it the best he's got. It's a lot. It's all of it. It's a goal. Jared Blair rises above his diminutive stature and lands an enormous goal. And it's a huge blow within the match. Collingwood by 17 points, 8-10 to 6-5.
A massive blow, Jared, and just one of the smallest players out on the field. He kicks it every bit of 47, 48 metres to get across the line. Cox was on the line, just couldn't get up high enough. But that's a huge goal. It's a huge goal because you said it, Mark. The West Coast were defending gamely. There's so many entries for the Collingwood team, and they just kept thwarting, pushing it back. Well, all of a sudden, Blair comes up with a ripper.
That's his 50th career goal, doing it in a semi-final. What a goal it was from a long way out. Here come the Eagles, though, from the bounce in the middle. Pritis has it at the 50. Beats a tackle, beats another one. Fires out the hand pass to Gaff. 35 out. He snaps under pressure and puts it through for a behind, missing left. Andrew Gaff gets his first score for the game. They're in a bit of trouble. Collingwood lead by 16 points. Kelly.
Lynch has been subbed out of the game, so Rosa in for the Eagles.
Johnson kicks into the back pocket carefully for Thomas, who in 7 minutes at the start of the term changed the game. Outside the defensive 50 with a long kick. Didn't come to anything. Brennan was grabbed without it. Umpire didn't make the call. Tooby releases it. Johnson is brought down by Darling. He lies on the footy. The umpire is going to bounce it. 60 out from the West Coast goal. Barely a couple of minutes left in the third term. Just think the Eagles would have to get one before the break. Matt Nui spikes it forward, then tried to kick it off the ground and push it forward. All to no avail. It's held in a pack. 50 from the Eagles goal. And they'll try it again. Jolly and Matt Nui to contest in the ruck. Shuey and Scott Sell with the defensive side of the pack. Jolly won the tap. Beams came up with the ball, and the Magpies again with a clearing kick around the wing. Hearn flew but dropped the mark. Brennan with a hand pass out the back to Butler. He kicks it for Pritis, who is forward of halfway.
Rose has come out with a head guard on after his jaw injury, injured the shoulder as well, so he's been in the wars. Getting across here is Reed to knock the ball out of bounds. Tuvey it was, to knock the ball out of play.
Done a good job on Darling, the star of last week, and kept him quiet.
Here's the throw in. Jolly and Cox. Goldsack spins through the pack, gets the hand pass to Jolly. Oh, he's dispossessed or loses it in the tackle. And it's going to be an Eagles free kick. Dean Cox with the free. Good 60 metres from goal. Kicking to the punt road end. They desperately need something before the siren. 28 minutes played. A low zooming pass to the pocket. Interference before the ball arrives. Eagles free.
No, it's coming back to Collingwood, I think.
Other way around.
So it goes back to where Cox took his kick from.
Someone was holding inside the 50 on the opposition, or blocking or something.
So Goldsack has the free kick and thumps it long and high. No mark, but it comes to the front to Swan. Here's a chance for the Pies. Another goal will be a killer for the Eagles. It sits up on the 50. Chance for Wellingham to run onto it. He does. His hand pass inboard is not much good. Comes to Brennan. Brennan's kick high for Cox. He juggles but can't complete the mark. Hand pass back. Comes to Butler. Schofield has it. Puts it out wide to Shuey. Here come the Eagles. McGinnity pokes a pass. Natanui juggles but can't take the mark. Butler gets the hand pass. Back to McGinnity, who kicks long. And Darling marks about 10 or 15 metres out from goal.
You called it. You called it. They needed one before three-quarter time.
Well, this is massive. Jack Darling kicked a goal in the first quarter when the Eagles were flying. Hasn't been much since then. Nothing at all for Kennedy. Darling right in front. Has to kick this goal. Margin is currently 16. He can make it 10. And he does kick the goal. So at three-quarter time, it's Collingwood 8-10-58, leading West Coast 7-6-48. A 10-point lead to the Pies after a third term where they came from 11 down to 10 up after 3 goals from Dale Thomas and one late by Blair. A massive kick from wide out and near 50. Three-quarter time, Collingwood 8-10-58 to the Eagles 7-6-48. The winner goes into the prelim next week.
Into the final term we go. Collingwood by 10 points. The Eagles would have to make the challenge early and get themselves back into it. From the first bounce, Kerr gets hold of it, kicks up inside the 50. Darling wrestling, worked away from him. Tuvey goes to ground. The ball spills away and out of play. Kelly Underwood.
Pies have made the sub. Jamie Elliott in his first final is on the ground. He started in the forward line. Alan Didak has been subbed out.
So the Eagles have it in the attacking territory at the throw-in. Jolly paddled it down in front. Natanui trying to get hold of it. He couldn't. And it's back out of play. Kel.
Contrasting huddles there in that three-quarter time break. Worsfold charged out. He had the stats wrapped up in his hand. He was pointing. He was barking. He was animated. Buckley very cool, calm, collected.
Can they get an early goal? I think they will, because Natanui got pushed in the face, I think. Yes. Jolly got a palm up into Natanui's face. And it had to be a free kick. And it's barely 15 metres from goal.
Well, I was about to call just before that, Jared. He's had very little impact on the game, Natanui. So here's a moment for him. Can he rise to the challenge?
As important as Darling was previously, this is just essential for Natanui. It's an elementary shot. Nick Nat kicks the goal. And it's the Eagles who are within a kick. And it's happened in 90 seconds as they try to mount their challenge. 8-10 to 8-6.
The last 2 goals they've kicked after the final siren, after the three-quarter time siren, Darling gets his. And now the first goal in the last quarter, it's Nick Natanui. And he hasn't had a big impact at all on tonight's game. He's had very little impact around the ground, even at stoppages. His big body just hasn't played a part. They've been running away from him with quite a lot of ease. Well, there was a moment for him. It was free kick. Free kick was there, but he had to go back with a cool head and kick it. All of a sudden, 4-point ball game.
He's taken just one mark and had 9 disposals. That's a poor bounce, umpire. He should have recalled it. It's knocked forward Collingwood's way. Embley goes in hard for the ball. Crash down he goes. Nat Nui tries to gather at the back edge of the centre square. He goes to ground. He is decked. No whistle for that. Comes to Beams. Little hand pass out the back to Pendlebury. Inside the square. His kick out in front of Cracker, who runs after it. He gets a shocking bounce. Comes back over his head. Brennan is there to get the hand pass away to Glass. And he gets some support. Selwood goes the short pass. Comes to Embley. Hand pass to Kerr. All under pressure, these possessions. Kerr down the line. And he gets the ball to Rosa in the helmet.
Dawes is gone.
Dawes limps to the boundary line. It's wide open for the Eagles as it's shared between Gaff and Rosa. Rosa the sub, fresh as a daisy, bounces, gets to about 53, kicks it low and right. It straightens up. It's in the goal square. A chance here for the Eagles. Socket away by Shaw for Collingwood. Nearly to the 50. Good pick up below his knees. Fantastic by Sidebottom. He kicks up short of centre wing. Gathered by Swan.
He's darting through the traffic. Swan, his hand pass is a bit too cute. Kerr cuts it off and the Eagles come again. Shuey gives it to McGinnity. Chip up into the pocket and Darling takes the mark against the boundary.
Daniel Kerr. Jared, Daniel Kerr's had 24 possessions and 17 contested. What a game he's played.
Well, this is the exact spot from where Jared Blair gold in the third term. And now Jack Darling, who is a prodigious kick and a noted goal kicker. He has the chance to return West Coast to the front. From outside the boundary, Darling, full momentum, launches at the goal front. It's across the face. Kennedy! Oh, what a mark! At full stretch in the pack. And having been largely unsighted, it's Josh Kennedy with his first score, and he should put the Eagles in front. Barely 10 metres out. Kennedy stutters in and sneaks it home. First 2 of the final term go the way of West Coast. It's eerily similar to what's happened last night. The Eagles by 2, 8-10 to 9-6. So 9-6 West Coast, 8-10 Collingwood. Kelly, what's the situation with Dawes?
He is in the rooms. He fell awkwardly in the forward 50 and an Eagles player landed across on his right leg and he couldn't put any weight on that right leg. He hobbled to the bench. He pointed to the knee, so I'm not sure if it is entirely a knee injury, but straight down in the rooms, and he's been down there for a few minutes now.
Mark of the night to Kennedy. Under pressure. Ripper. Eagles lead by 2 points. The bounce in the middle. Down goes Cox. Selwood bursts his way through. The hand pass comes to Cox through his legs. They fight for it at ground level. Not coming out. The umpire to bounce.
Very interesting how momentum swings and it goes that way. And 5 possessions now. He's only 4 before that time, Kennedy.
Knocked out by Jolly. It comes to O'Brien. Oh, he's copped it up to Gaff. Gaff penetrates the 50. Here comes Kennedy working off his man Reid. He's got some support from Hill. Hill all the way to the line with Tarrant. The ball over the boundary line alongside the behind post. And a boundary throw in.
This is interesting because West Coast are testing the opposition, testing Collingwood. See how much they want it. How much do you want to win? And they're actually asking the question.
Cox down to Priddis. Priddis pulled off his attempted kick. And now they compete for it at ground level. And the umpire will bounce. Well, just like Collingwood burst hard at the Eagles at the start of the third quarter, the Eagles are coming hard at the Pies at the start of the last. They've kicked 2 goals to 0 to lead by 2 points.
And pressing hard, Cox gets himself clear, but he knocked it straight down to Beams. Comes up with a clearing kick around the southern wing. Mackenzie spoiled Cloak from behind, but Cloak got hold of the footy and he sends it beyond halfway. Elliott waits underneath. Butler made the spoil. It's about the drop though. Adam Selwood very clean. Hand pass up the line to Embley. Kick no good. Out of bounds on the full as he tried to deliver to Shuey.
Free kick to Brown of Collingwood. Very high ball just over the wing. It actually pitches. Nobody got near it. Comes to Hearn. Bounces away from him, but he gathers. Poor old kick. The mark taken by Wellingham for Collingwood. Centre wing, southern stand side. Pies down by 2 points. Kicked by Wellingham to the 50. Big leap by Shaw, but he was nowhere near the ball. It comes to the back. Rosa gets the hand pass up. Embley goes for a run through centre half back. Oh, he's kicked it off his shin. It went about 10 metres to Beams. Beams inside the 50 and Goldsack marks right in front, 35 or 40 metres from goal. What a howler by Embley. It was like that day Mick McGuire had the jabs in the groin and couldn't kick the ball.
I think it was worse than that.
They were on all the way down the field. They had 2 loose in the middle.
Now can Goldsack kick a goal? He had 2 chances in the first quarter and kicked behinds both times. This to put Collingwood back in front. In front, 40 out, and Goldsack kicks the goal. What a contest we have here. Tiredness, mistakes, injuries will all come to play, but it's a 4-point lead to Collingwood. 9-10 to 9-6.
Well, when Heath Shaw gave that free kick away, you're right, Jared. As soon as Embley got the ball in his hands, you looked upfield and they were out. They were everywhere. All he had to do was get the ball over the top. He didn't even get the ball off the ground. That's how bad the kick was. It fell off the inside of his right foot, rolled along the ground, and all of a sudden the turnover comes back to Goldsack. But it's goal for goal now, 60 to 64. What a contest.
It's an amazing mistake. Embley, who kicked the previous one out of bounds on the full, and just rubbered that ball. Allows Collingwood back to the lead. Cox for the tap in the middle. Beams is sharking him well, though. He kicks it up to half forward. They set themselves. Brennan made the spoil. Blair against Shuey. Shuey was stern. He knocked the ball up to Embley, who decided to hand pass, and it was as bad as the kick. Off to Prittis, who had to gather round his laces. Kick in the Darling direction. Ball spills to the back. McKinney against O'Brien. They go to ground. Tuvey keeps his footing. Kicks calmly into the middle. Wellingham marks, and they've got runners free forward of the ball. Elliott takes the mark. He spreads it up to Cracker. Shaw has gone past. Cracker held it up. He kicks inside the 50. Poor kick. Bounces past Cloak and allows the Eagles back in. Glass over to Rosa.
Rosa, the sub, kicks it outside the 50, close to the boundary line, and it is seen out by Wellingham and Marston, and we get a throw in. Kelly Underwood.
Yeah, Chris Dawes is back out on the boundary. He's got the right knee heavily strapped, just doing some run-throughs. Anthony Rocker went down and spoke to him just in the race. Just a few quiet words to Chris Dawes.
Be interesting to know whether he'll be okay next week if Collingwood make it through to the game with Sydney. It comes to Thomas, who throws it on the left boot and kicks it out of bounds so far. It's about 5 rows back. Free kick to Embley in the back pocket for the Eagles.
They might get it back. Embley's gone 0 for 3 with his last. He'd just be happy to get it onto the boot, and he does. He clears 40 metres with the kick. Cox flies up. Underfoot it comes. Prittis can't release it. Held in a swift tackle. And he does push it out to the side of the pack, but I can't believe anything would come from this. Be blown up. Left half forward for Collingwood.
Pick a winner, anyone?
No one.
Silence.
Completely uncommitted here. Collingwood by 4 points. It's absorbing stuff. Swan trying to get through. Rosa holds him up. There's no way through there. Try again. Not huge numbers around the ball. Structures are being held at both ends. Jolly pushes it out wide toward the boundary and ultimately over that line.
Eagles led by 9 points at quarter time and 11 points at half time. But Collingwood led by 10 at 3/4 time. And now Collingwood lead by just 4. Cox wins the hit out. Shark by Wellingham, who somehow gets boot the ball.
How strong was
tremendous.
That?
Elliott dives in, drops the mark. Regathers. He's just outside 50. He centres it. Cracker has it thumped away. It comes to Swan. 48 out. Swan puts it to the goal square. Dangerous for the Eagles' defence. Cracker roves in front. Gets one in the back. No free kick. The umpire's going to ball it up on the point of the goal square.
You don't get one this time of the game, Drew. You've got to really earn them then.
Andy Cracker gets up with a mouthful of grass. Ball up. A million players around it. Cox wins the hit out. Comes to Prittis. Back to Cox by hand. And he gets them outside the 50. 2 against 2. Brown misses with a punch. Natanui gets after him. Brown gathers to Shaw. Gets a hand pass to Tuvey. It opens up for Collingwood. Johnson, a beautiful pass just inside the 50. Fasolo can't take the mark under pressure. And it comes to ground level and will be a ball up. It is Collingwood 64. Eagles 60. 12 and a half minutes played last quarter.
They've got the wall set, Collingwood, repelling every time the Eagles trying to get it out of defence. At the bounce, Jolly wrestled his way to win the tap. Kerr, though, the footy, tackled by Wellingham, pulled clear by Beams, who found a step of space. He sends it at goal. Cloak and McKenzie. Cloak almost. McKenzie got it from him. Cracker swings it around the body. It'll land in the square. Swan dropped it. You couldn't believe it. He'll still go. He does. Wouldn't be put off by the first error. He just trundles on. Dane Swan opens the lead back to 10 points. 10-10 to 9-6.
Yeah, and they just keep coming in. When it gets in his hands, look out. He is an absolute beauty, Dane Swan. Very calm, calculating, understands what to do. Cracker's work there was terrific. In and under, push the ball out, get the ball back into space, get it up in the air, away you go. And they set up a wall, the Pies, as you said, you guys. They just set this wall up and they just keep banging it back in. There's no science to it, I can assure you. It's just good, hard work and great to watch.
The Pies back to their three-quarter time margin of 10 points. We've played 14 minutes in the last quarter. 2 goals each in this last stanza. Natanui over the top, but Jolly wins the hit out. Comes to Scott Selwood. His hand pass intercepted by Johnson, who slips through like an eel. He gets it to the Waddler. Swan has a bounce and wobbles this ball inside the 50. Cracker gets a fingernail to it. It goes Collingwood's way. Back outside the 50. Fasolo goes to ground. Kerr gathers. Some little disposal out there. Comes to Marston, onto Hearn. His kick to centre wing. Embley juggles. Can't take the mark, but his arm was taken in the marking contest by Shaw, and a free kick right in front of Kelly Underwood. Kel.
Chris Dawes is back out there, Drew, but he's on one leg. He's hobbling around.
Embley from the members' wing. Darling provides the lead. He should have hung on to the mark. He dropped it. Marston should have got over the boundary. He didn't. Tuvey was able to capitalise on it. Off to Shaw. Now to Beams. Hit the firm tackle by Scott Selwood. And he does get it out of play. You need a job finished, you bring in a Selwood. At the throw-in, Natanui against Dawes. Natanui tries to spike it forward, off to Selwood. Hand pass to Prittis. He didn't quite take it. Prittis is now in a fight for the ball. He's wrapped up with it. Kelly.
Willingham's come off with the blood roll. He's caught one right in the nose. It looks like it could be a bad break there. There's plenty of blood pouring out of Willingham's nose.
Gee, Kerr had his elbow up. That's how he got the broken nose.
Still on the members' wing. Natanui didn't do much with the tap. Blair pushes it to the back. Whistle. Collingwood free kick. It's going Blair's way. Halfway mark of the final term. Collingwood by 10.
The frees are 18-15 in favour of the Pies. Kick by Blair, low and hard. Selwood gets a fist of the ball and sees it out. That is Adam Selwood. Crowd posted at 65,483. Trouble for Wellingham, stopping the bleeding on the bench. Here's the throw in. Natanui wins the hit out. Shark by Beams. Hand pass to Johnson. Back near centre wing. Ben Johnson gets it on the right boot. Bumbles a kick up towards the 50. Blair is there. Takes Kerr out and he hasn't got it. Umpires have put the whistle away. Spills to Rosa. Now to Adam Selwood. He loses it in the tackle. It's pinched by Thomas, who goes for goal and misses to the near side, to the left-hand side. Gee, Daisy could nearly have sewn it up then. Margin could have been 16. Instead of that, it's 11 at the 16.5-minute mark.
Do you know what he tried to do there, Drew? He tried to kick a banana kick off his wrong side on the left foot.
Yes.
That was not many people in the world could do that, and neither can Daisy.
It was the road less travelled. Hearn plays on into the back pocket, clears the defensive 50. He needs Adam Selwood to mark. He didn't. It's coming back. Johnson to Blair. Slipped out of a tackle. Delivered inside the 50. Bouncing ball. Cloak up. Hand pass to Cracker. He snaps too severely. And hooks it near side. It's 2 goals neats Collingwood's lead. There is 9.5 minutes to play.
It's worth just pointing out that if it's a draw at full time, we'll play extra time. The Eagles need 2 goals. And kicks to himself. And then thumps it long in the direction of Natanui, who wrestles with Dawes and beats him easily. Takes the mark. Hand pass to Kerr. Kerr kicks down the line with a wobbly old ball. It's a tired old kick. And fortunately it bounces through to Kennedy, who grabs it. The defence has overrun the ball. Kennedy's pass is perfect. Hill. Good contest. It is knocked away from Hill by Brown over the boundary line, and a throw in. Had to be very careful not to give away the free kick then. Nathan Brown. Here's the throw in. Cox in front. Fridis works it across. Shuey to Natanui. Ball comes back. Butler, a high ball inside the 50, taken by Pendlebury. He sweeps a hand pass back to Shaw. Buys himself a bit of time. Off to Brown. Brown's hand pass is okay to Johnson. Running defensively. In a bit of trouble. Back to Brown. They're cornered by a really good Eagles forward press here. Oh, Kerr, magnificent. Wins the ball, gets the hand pass. Daisy Thomas chucks himself at it. Picked up by Wellingham. Off to side bottom, a short pass. Kerr took a mark, but it didn't go 15. Mark not paid.
He lost it. Side bottom kicks beyond halfway. The Eagles have the numbers here, and a couple of Magpies collide. Elliott went over the top of Cloak, and they're both a little injured. Butler had plenty of time. He used it to Marston. He'll square it into the middle for Cox. Cox will see Brennan as the outrider on the southern side. Now they've got 2-on-2 up at the 50 if Brennan decides to challenge them. He carries the ball, has a bounce and kicks it over the top of those coming at him. Shaw attacked it hard, but he went without it, and it's still to be won. Prittis came through. He had a fumble. Dawes just gets there, and he's only just moving. Marston wraps him up. And we get a stoppage, 45 out from the Eagles' goal.
It was moving like a bus with a busted wheel.
Yep.
That's how well he was going.
Yes. Difficult to see him playing next week, but he has to play out tonight. Cox puts it underfoot. Wellingham is there. His kick slews off the side of the boot. Elliott one way. Adam Selwood. They contest and it all comes to ground. It's under Adam Selwood. Elliott's on top of him. The umpire decides to bounce it right half forward for West Coast.
Ripping contest.
Been a great tackling game by both sides. They really have tackled cleanly and fair. It's been terrific.
10 goals to 9. Can't have so much fun in such a defensive game. From the bounce, Jolly bursts through, gets it to Wellingham. He spins out of a tackle, finds Beams, gets the hand pass to Johnson. Up he comes to Goldsack inside the centre square. Goldsack puts it out in front and says, get after that. But I'm not sure the Dawes can even run. He couldn't get there. It's taken for the Eagles in defence by Mackenzie. Gets it out towards the centre wing, southern side. Ball towards the boundary line. Collingwood fans wanting a free kick against Gaff. But it'll be a boundary throw-in. It is 72-60, a 12-point lead to Collingwood. 20.5 minutes played last quarter.
At the throw-in, Jolly spiked it forward. Shuey is after it, but he's got the fumbles and it gets away from him and goes out of play. Beam says he heard footsteps. And there's a little exchange of forearms. At the throw-in, Cox won front position. Swan, though, came up with the footy. Hand pass to Pendlebury, who really wastes it. He kicks to full forward. Cloak is behind. He got hands to it, but couldn't take the mark. Gathered by Glass. Gave it off to Hearn. Kick out to half back for Marston. Embley's working hard down the field. Marston ignored him. Adam Selwood was on the break. The kick. Oh, he's picked out Pendlebury, who's not paid the mark. Schofield jarred it loose. Scott Selwood gets it up to Schofield. Kick to half forward. Natanui against a couple. It comes to ground. 4-man pack. They all squabble over it. The ball is between them. It spills out. Kennedy gets it over the boundary. And we can all set up 50 from the Eagles' goal. They're down by 12.
Quentin Lynch has been subbed out for the Eagles. Alan Didak's been subbed out for the Pies. No more reserves to come on. Players tired. At the boundary throw-in, Cox wins. It's taken by Darling. A little hand pass away. Hurried kick by Shuey. Inside the 50. Marston runs onto it and crashes through but goes without the ball. Johnson has it for Collingwood. He's kicked, marked by Nat Nui about 2 metres away. He kicks to the goal square and it's thumped away by Reid, who's been magnificent in defence for the Pies. And we get a stop play, boundary throw in, forward pocket. 72-60. Collingwood lead by 2 straight kicks. At the throw in, Natanui beats Jolly, gets it going, Eagles goal square. Taken by side bottom for Collingwood. Kick outside the 50. Bounces end on end and goes all the way to centre wing, where it's taken by Goldsack. There's nobody ahead of him, but he bursts through 2 of them. Goldsack, brilliant. He holds it up for a little while. He waits for Cracker and hoists it high. Cracker gets back, but not quick enough. And the mark diving by Schofield in the last line for the Eagles.
That was a pressurised mark to be taken. Kick for Rosa, who's on the way out. Plays opened up around the southern wing. It's taken out there by Gaff. He'll use it short for Shuey. Into the middle for Rosa. Rosa will get it onto the right boot and see if he can find a forward. Up at it is Kennedy. He took the early leap. He cleared the pack. He didn't bring it down. Pendlebury's at the full. Spreads the hand pass out to Beams. Uses it short for Wellingham. Defensive side of the middle. There's still 5 minutes to play. It's Collingwood by 2 goals. Wellingham committed to the long kick. Goldsack against Schofield, and Schofield beats him handsomely.
The Collingwood aren't scoring. The Eagles need 2 goals to get a draw and take it into extra time. Embley's kick over the centre of the ground. They scrap at ground level. Kennedy a little hand pass to Hearn, who missed the target. In there is Pendlebury for Collingwood to gather. Hand pass away to side bottom. Scrubby old kick, but it comes to Swan in a bit of space. He holds it up, touches the ball to ground. They don't come at him. The kick by Swan penetrates the 50. Thomas is there, 1 out. He's taken to ground in a magnificent tackle. Crumb's taken by Cracker. He was out, ball was in, and he kicks to the goal square. Goldsack gets there.
No, ball was out.
Oh, the ball has gone out off Cracker. We're going to get a boundary throw in. Goldsack thought he had a goal to add to his one earlier in the quarter. Here's the throw in, Jerry.
Nat Nui reaches up from behind and puts it underfoot. The Eagles have got to be good because a goal will finish it. Swan gets through, hand pass to the goal square. Cloak pushes it clear and out of play.
It's where experience counts. Keep the ball inside your 50. Don't let them out easy kicks.
Can they come up with the finisher? Jolly knocks it to the back. Side bottom was waiting. He's got it. He's tackled by Scott Selwood. The ball is held to him. The umpire in again. A 3rd stoppage. The pressure mounts with each of them. Grim defence from the Eagles. 1 good kick away for Collingwood. Glass will go 3rd man up. Perfect tap down to Hearn, who was coming through. He blasted around the wing when he probably needed to be careful, and Reid, who has controlled the play, takes the intercepting mark.
No, he's been absolutely sensational. He's taken 9 marks, coming up for his 15th disposal, and he's going all the way back, using up a bit of time. Kicks towards half forward. Good mark on the lead by Elliott, the sub, who's fresh. He gets bowled over after the mark. That's a terrific effort by the youngster, playing just his 14th game. He kicks the ball back to Reid. Collingwood working down the clock. We're at nearly the 26-minute mark, further across the ground to Johnson. Eagles have got to man up and get the ball off them. Johnson advances the ball and for solo marks in between halfback and wing. Kick by Fasolo to Cloak. Juggles but marks on centre wing. All this using up time. Collingwood 72, Eagles 60. The winner plays the Swans next week, and Collingwood have a good record against them up there at the Olympic Stadium. The kick by Cloak towards the 50. Jolly works to the front and marks. Natanui couldn't jump.
What a game he's had, this big bloke, against 2 great ruckmen, Cox especially, and now young Natanui. He just keeps bowling along. He's a beauty.
Wide out near the boundary line, 65 from goal. He puts it in the hole. Swan couldn't mark. Still here for Collingwood. Another score, win the game. They scrap for it at ground level. It's not coming out. And the umpire, it does come out. Cracker has it. Pulls it in, gets it to Beams. Beams loses to the tackle. Naitanui has a fumble. Hand pass to a man under pressure. Plucked off the deck by Fasolo. He's lost it though, and Schofield. Away go the Eagles.
Rosa gives it off to McGinnity, but they're kicking to nobody. Shaw goes back with the flight and takes the mark. The Eagles can't win it in regulation. Their best result would be to get it to extra time, but they're 2 goals down, and the clock now working against them. Shaw back to Johnson, and they're prepared to work deep in defence as Sidebottom gets there as the extra man.
Look,
Swan coming down the field.
That is great running.
It all serves the Magpies' purposes grandly. Swan is signalling out to the southern side. Thomas is the next link in the chain. Fasolo is head off toward the boundary. The shorter option though is Tuvey, and he can mark and play on. He'll pump them inside the 50. It'll come up to Wellingham. And any score will make it safe. Sharrod Wellingham to take maximum time over the kick.
They haven't stopped the clock either.
45-degree angle. 45 metres from home. Sharrod Wellingham launches the drop punt for a behind. But the Magpies are well safe. They lead by 13 points.
Gee, they'll be tired after this. Hearn goes for distance. Kicks it about a mile into the centre square. But Wellingham takes the mark. Oh, there's a push out. Going to be an Eagles free kick to Kerr. Takes it quickly. Up he goes to Rosa. Fires out the hand pass to Schofield. It's too late. The siren. And Collingwood go into the preliminary final. The double chances work for the Pies. The Eagles' brave season comes to an end, and their record of only having beaten Collingwood once ever at the MCG is maintained. It's Collingwood now 8-1 against the Eagles at the home of football. Final score, Collingwood 10-13, 73. The Eagles 9-6, 60. It's Collingwood versus Sydney next week in the preliminary final. Point victory to the Pies, and a strange similarity for the two West Australian teams this weekend in finals. Collingwood kicked the Eagles kicked the first 4 goals of the game and then were overtaken, just like last night when the Dockers made such a great start against the Crows and were overtaken.
They both kicked the first 2 goals of the last term to restore a lead and then got overrun. Last night was 10, tonight was 13. That's spookily similar.
It's amazing, isn't it? Wow, what a game. For such a low-scoring game. Fancy 10 goals being the winning score, but you couldn't just take your eyes off it. It was phenomenal. Daisy Thomas kicked 3 goals in 7 minutes at the start of the third quarter. When you win a game by 13 points, there's the difference right there. Swan kicked 2. They both had quiet first halves, big seconds. Goldsack 1, O'Brien 1, Blair 1, Jolly 1. And for West Coast, they needed more, obviously. Darling kicked 2, Hill kicked 2, and the rest in singles to Kerr, Naitanui, Kennedy, Cox and McGinnity. Singles to Kerr, Naitanui, Kennedy, Cox and McGinnity.
So as history is our guide, the top 4 are again the last 4. With Collingwood to play Sydney and Adelaide to play Hawthorn. Mark McClure, your thoughts as the Pies head out to thank their fans?
I just love the game. I thought it was fantastic. I really admire what West Coast have done. They've come in there, they hang in there. They were under pressure for long periods of that game. For almost, like hours and hours and hours. It just kept coming in. They kept defending, and I really like what they did. Gee, Kerr's a player. Gaff and Shuey and Marsden and Selwood, they're young and they've got plenty of time left. And they'll be a force for the years to come, I can assure you of that. Glass in defence and Schofield and McKenzie just continue to repel the ball out of their defence. And they'll get better. I don't think their big, tall forward line worked at all. They just couldn't get the ball in there. It was a different game today. It was not a long kicking, marking game. I didn't see too many marks inside 50 that we used. And the tall forwards, actually, I think I hurt them in a sense, because they've got something to look forward to for the future. And West Coast, they'll be a very good side. The Pies, well, all questions asked have been answered. Is their defence all over the place? Well, not tonight. They were sensational. Shaw was back to his absolute best, and so was Harry, really. Just really good about how he went back and did all those. So Tuvey, Reid and Shaw. Johnson, I thought Johnson was terrific the way he did it. Tarrant started poorly but really got better as the game got on. Their small forwards set the pattern for the night. They really set the pattern for the night. Tyson Goldsack, Blair, Wellingham was unbelievably good. And what they did was they helped protect the midfield and the defence, and that's what you need to do. Pendlebury, unbelievable. Swan, sensational. And that little cameo from Daisy Thomas for the 10-minute marker in the third quarter was terrific. They're on their way. Are they tired? Yes. Are they excited? Absolutely. And they'll look forward to next week.
Let's savour it with Kelly Underwood in the Collingwood rooms.
And as they make their way down here, Jared, there's a welcome party, the captain and the coach. An outpouring of emotion here. Nathan Buckley looks like the weight of the world is off his shoulders. A handshake for every single player as they made their way in. Some hugs, some high fives, and a tight little circle. Here they go. They are well and truly pumped down here, and it might have been best summed up when Nathan Buckley looked over at the president, Eddie Maguire, and just one big wink. He certainly enjoyed that. So they're just breaking and they're moving into the players' meeting room. So I'll get back to you when we're going to have a chat to a player.
Collingwood by 13 points over West Coast.
Well, in a lot of ways, it was a disappointing end for West Coast. As much as they actually continued to have the effort over the remaining 3 quarters. Really, their best part of the game was the first 15 minutes. That was unbelievable. I mean, to kick the first 4 goals, we just thought, gee, how far are they going to win by? It was just an amazing start. So over to you, Jared.
Back to Kelly.
Yeah, just very emotion charged down here, Jared. I can see Dane Beams in tears and young Elliott as well. So certainly, obviously, the passing of John McCarthy right at the front of their minds at the moment. Quite emotion charged. Players and coaches just heading over to Dane Beams, who's visibly very upset down here. Going to have a chat to Tyson Goldsack very, very shortly.
Okay, just sneak an extra thought or two in, Chris.
Well, I was just going to say, after that first 15 minutes, in a lot of ways, West Coast, as much as around the footy they were pretty good, Kerr was outstanding, Gaff with his run, they actually lost their way up forward, and over the course of the evening, inside 50, they just played into Collingwood's hands. They loaded up at the start of the game. It seemed to work for them then, but it was really the smaller guys who was probably causing more trouble than the big fellas. And as the game wore on, Collingwood knew exactly where they were going to kick it. They kicked 5 goals after that first 15 minutes of play for the remainder of the game. So in a lot of ways, they didn't play to their strengths very well at all. And I'm sure that John Worsfold and the coaching staff were pleading for them to kick it a little bit shorter. But under pressure, what happens? Under pressure is you go back to what's somewhat an easy kick, which is at the top of the square, or to a big fella down the line. And it just didn't work for them. And what Collingwood did, for all the things that West Coast allowed them not to kick that winning score, what Collingwood did, they just had their big guns play sublime football. Beams was very, very good. Swan was very good. Sidebottom had his moments, and Pendlebury played beautiful finals football. The game slowed down for him when it was getting too fast for others. The game slowed down for him, and he just made it look very, very easy. Big win for Collingwood, and no doubt, obviously, what Collingwood is saying down in the rooms, as much as they're pretty distraught with the John McCarthy situation, I reckon there's a pretty relieved coach down there. He would have had the weight of the world on his shoulders tonight, and he comes out with a win.
Gee, they fought hard, didn't they?
They did.
They fought hard with undermanned. Well, not undermanned. They weren't undermanned at all, but lacked skill. Their skill was poor at times, but they just kept punching on, kept punching until the final siren. So I thought that was a terrific win. Terrific win. Can they get better? I think they can.
And 7 minutes at the start of the third quarter, that man, Dale Thomas, who hasn't had much of a year as far as the Collingwood faithful and the standards he probably sets for himself, and the coach has intimated that he hasn't had a great season. Well, that's 7 minutes. In fact, this whole third quarter was very good, but he blasted the game open in that 7 minute period.
He had a third quarter like that against Adelaide, over in Adelaide earlier in the season, and it looked as though he must have got a rev up at half-time, and he came out and he was a different player because he was pretty average in the first half, but he's pretty much won the game in 7 minutes.
It's a very good win. Collingwood by 13 points over West Coast, 10-13 to 9-6. So time's our ally here. We'll leave the West Coast sort of picking a part of their season to come. I suppose the immediate issues are Didak found his way back to form. He was subbed out at three-quarter time, and he was sore, but okay. Dawes is going to be the issue. He was strapped up and put back out there so that they had their rotation, but he couldn't get across the ground.
I noticed Buckley talking a long time to Didak at three-quarter time, and I wasn't sure that he was going to be subbed out. It looked to me like he was giving him a confidence boost and a bit of a rev up to keep going. Next minute we find he's been subbed out. But his communication to his player was terrific then, I reckon.
Could have been just simply along the lines of how good he'd actually played up until three-quarter time, but they probably knew as a fitness level. I mean, we discussed how poor his preparation going into September has probably been. He's been played at that sub-type player. They haven't been overly happy with his fitness over the course of this year. They probably had it in their mind that he was going to be the one, provided he could actually get out there and have a super three-quarters for them. He was probably going to be the unfortunate one to come off, but that doesn't mean that he didn't play his part. He's played a huge part in that three-quarters. I wouldn't be surprised if that was what Buckley was trying to say. Hey, if we get through a lot of the work you've done a very good job for us. Just get yourself ready for next week.
Oh, well, he's left himself still in the frame, Bucks, to win a premiership in his first year, like Chris Scott did last year. And, boy, if he does, his stocks will rise remarkably, even further than they are already.
He was always going to be the story of the year, Drew. Win, lose or draw. He has been most of the year, and he continue on now.
And they've got a good record against the Swans up at the Olympic Stadium. They'll be rubbing their hands together, even though they'll be sore. And the Swans have had the week off, and they just probably watched on TV and thought, you're guilty. Go in harder.
Yes,
knock them about. Hit them harder.
And they go on a 6-day break because of the way that the grounds have fallen. So Sydney hosts Friday night. So, I mean, apart from having a nemesis or a bogey team against them, I guess they would have sat there and been well served by what happened.
John Longmire was here tonight. He'll fly back with a broad grin, I'd say.
I wouldn't also discount the fact that if Dawes doesn't play, and when I said before tonight's game, that if Dawes actually played just off the bench as a second ruckman, it does actually open up the forward line. I wouldn't be surprised if next week that Thomas and those types of guys actually line up inside 50. Because you look at the Sydney defence and they rely so heavily on guys like Teddy Richards and Grundy and Lewis Robert Thompson if he has to play back there. But it is an unusual setup when you've just got one big one and a lot of talented, smaller marking type players. You can have small players around there, but Thomas marks, Fasolo marks, Pendlebury can go down there and mark. And it does actually shape up as a different type of forward line. I wouldn't be disappointed if I was a Collingwood supporter going without Dawes, because Sydney will have to structure up differently than what they've been used to for the whole of this season.
Does Grundy come back this week?
Yep.
He only got a week, that's right. He did too.
And what was Dawes? A bus with one wheel missing.
Well, he looked like it. He was moving pretty slowly, wasn't it? You know, one of those buses in Karachi that they just toddle along on the side of the road and they've got 400 people hanging off them?
Oh, I haven't seen the Karachi ones. I've seen the Delhi ones.
Actually, he looked very sore coming off. I can't believe they put him back on. I suppose they were just out of juice. Didn't have any players. Yeah, you have to. Yeah, I understand that. But there's no good rotating someone who can't run. And he just couldn't run.
No, there's that ball that went in his direction and he had the play at, but there was no covering the ground.
No.
Yeah. So there you go. Collingwood by 13 points over West Coast. The Eagles led at quarter time by 9 and by half time at 11. It was 4-1 in the third term. So Collingwood by 10 at 3/4 time and 13 at the close. 2 goals each in that final term. The Eagles kicking the first 2 to lead by 2 points, and then Collingwood responded with the next 2. We'll just bid farewell to our news radio audience here. Let me tell you, in the NRL, it finished the Rabbitohs 38, defeated the Canberra Raiders 16. So South Sydney go on. So the NRL's gone the same way as the AFL, with the 2 teams with the double chance winning their way through. So the NRL's about to get a lesson in how difficult it is to supplant those top 4 teams, as history just reinforces itself in the AFL season after season. The top 4 is the last 4. Collingwood to travel to Sydney to meet the Swans, Hawthorn to host Adelaide next weekend. Half an hour to go here to go through all of this. We'll head back into the Collingwood rooms with Kel shortly.
That's good. It'll give Brunton Avenue a chance to clear. No point in leaving now anyway.
So I think we're quite close to Collingwood. We won't start the Eagles conversation until we've heard from Kelly there. The players who found their way back to form, and this is probably the most significant part of tonight, Mark, is, after 10 weeks of being relatively underwhelming, this was old school Collingwood. Maybe a Collingwood that we haven't seen very often under Nathan Buckley at all.
No, we haven't. Gerard, you're dead right. And actually even worse over the last sort of 6 weeks, I thought they'd tapered even further. But the players who found some form, Harry O'Brien for mine was, whether or not he'd been spoken to by coaches or whatever, he would have been for sure. They've all been disappointed in their performance, some of them, and all of a sudden you bounce back. You find out about the character, about people, all of a sudden he's sure. Away you go.
Kel.
Yes, Tyson Goldsack's been good enough to join us. Tyson, congratulations. You're into your 4th straight prelim, but, gee, you were made to work to the very end.
Yeah, it was a very tough game tonight. They always want to come, and I guess they had the 6-day break and we had the 8, so we had that in our back pocket, and it worked out all right for us.
And personally, congratulations on a great game. 2 telling moments for you. You're involved in that big hit involving Brennan. How's the shoulder? And then you booted a lovely set shot in that last quarter. And so what did that feel like?
Yeah, it was good the hit felt good. That's finals footy, and then, the set shot, I missed it too early, so just had to try and put it through the middle. So it worked out all right. It was good.
And just before I throw you upstairs, I wanted to ask you, such an emotion-charged victory. A couple of the boys, Dane Beams and a few of them were visibly upset, crying openly after the theme song. How difficult was it to sort of bottle that emotion in light of John McCarthy's tragic death?
It was tough. I mean, the start of the week, probably more so, just coming to terms with the fact that actually happened. And then the fact today, I guess it was more so that we're just, as a team, we all wearing the same jumper, and you kind of honour J-Mac in the fact that he wore the jumper for 4 years, and you go out there and you try and do it for him, but you do it for your teammates more so, and you just have him in the back of your mind, and you want to do the best for him. So.
Mark McClure, Chris Grant, some questions for Tyson Goldsack.
Tyson, congratulations, magnificent win, but your work up forward I thought was special. 8 tackles, sensational stuff, and your harassment work was just terrific.
Yeah, thanks guys. I mean, it's probably the last few weeks it dropped off a bit. Had that ankle, which is kind of a bit niggly, but it felt good tonight, and the fact I could put in some pressure, that's probably what I'm up there to do. So, I was glad I could put the pressure on and try and turn the ball over as much as possible.
Your defence was superb, back to their absolute best, and they haven't been there before.
No, they were unbelievable. I mean, the fact they took 4 tolls in was going to stretch us a little bit, but we knew that we can go one-on-one with them, and we got players that have played good roles on them before. So the fact that they could stand up tonight of all nights was a real credit to them.
Tyson, what must be a great confidence booster for you as a team? They kicked the first 4 goals, and you've restricted them to 5 for the remainder of the game. So effectively, after the 10-minute mark, they've only kicked 5 for the remainder of the game. That must in itself be a great confidence booster for you.
Yeah, it was. I mean, we usually start well, so the fact that they got on top of us early was put us on the back foot a little bit. We still had scoring shots, but just couldn't convert. Thanks to yours truly, so I'll have to work on that midweek. Stay away from Trav, I guess. But the fact that we could then lock them down and the backs do their job and we try and kick the goals up forward, and it worked out all right for us.
And a few of the players in the team who've had sort of strange seasons, I guess. Alan Didak being one of them. He's returned to form today. I know that he got subbed out at three-quarter time, but his first three quarters just contributed so much.
Yeah, just his touch around the half-forward line. I mean, he gets the ball and just hit up players in that little window where you like to have it. So he's such a classy player, and he's been subbed for the last, I think, 3 games and not playing full games. So the fact that he could come out and play 3 quarters of a really good footy, that holds him in good stead for next week, and hopefully he can put a full game together. And
ANZ Stadium or Olympic Park holds no fears for you?
No, it's treated us well over the last few years, so we play well, we travel well, so the boys will just regroup, get up there and get the job done, hopefully.
Tice, you all got together at the end in a little circle just at centre-half forward there. Can you tell us what was going on there?
Yeah, that was just more so just to say that was our brand of footy that we played, so if we can do that next week, hopefully the same result will happen. So we know what to do, and it's just the fact that we went out there and done it tonight, and just to keep it in the back of our minds that it actually works, our game plan works, and we'll stick to it.
Prior to this season, 7 goals in 67 games, and you've kicked 23 this season. How did it come about? Did Bucks put it on you? What did he say? The goals are a bonus, just tackle on the forward line?
Yeah, pretty much it was. I mean, went up there as a defensive forward, and to play more of a lockdown role, and then just happened to find the ball a couple of times, and it went from there, I guess. But yeah, probably my number one role is to try and, not so much lock down players now, but just put that pressure on, and like I said, trying to lay the tackles in and try and turn the ball over. So that if the goals come, I'm happy to take them. That's sure, no doubt about that. But more so the tackling and the defensive pressure.
We'll have to go down as a masterstroke by the coach in his first year.
No, he's done very well. Well, it was meant to be a wing role, kind of earmarked me in the pre-season for a wing, and then I think we were short on forwards one week, so we just threw him down forward and then worked out all right for him. But yeah, I'm happy to play wherever, as long as I'm playing games.
Another masterstroke has got to be getting Andy Cracker back after his knee injury. We thought he had a goal in the first quarter.
Yeah, so did I. Thought I almost had a goal assist there, but no, it was turned over and went through for a behind. But yeah, the fact that he's come back, it's a massive credit to him. I mean, him and Brent McCaffrey was back as well playing footy, so just can't squeeze into the side. But yeah, they done an amazing job to get back, and our rehab team at the club has been unbelievable, so it's great.
Do you have some sense, Tyson, that this is a really good result for Nathan Buckley in his first year? I mean, you guys have been together for a long time, and while he's been part of that, he's the coach now, and to go in straight sets would have been a tremendously bad result for him, let alone the team.
Oh, yeah, no doubt. I mean, you try and win finals, so yeah, he's done really well. He's a perfect coach. He's got a good game plan and good coaches, assistant coaches behind him. So there was always going to be teething, and there was a little bit of that early in the season. But yeah, the boys we regrouped and got our stuff together. Sorry about that.
That's all right. It's after 10:30. That's fine.
Got our game plan together during the year, and now we're playing some decent footy and 4 quarters of it. So.
Plenty of packing them in you, mate.
Yeah, definitely is.
Good stuff, Tyson. Well done.
Great. Thanks, guys.
Tyson Goldsack with us in the Collingwood rooms. 10-13-73 the Pies over West Coast 9-6-60. You're just going through the players
improvement
that improved.
Yeah, I talked about Shaw, his improvement. When he went back to his spot down back and he found his way to have a loose man at some stage, and sometimes Harry has a loose man. I thought that was really good stuff for them. The improvement, Tyson Goldsack, how much has he improved as a player? He's found his spot. He's quick, he's tough, he runs hard. His tackles, 8 tackles, but his pressure action would be huge and around the ground, hitting people and getting in the way and doing all those things. He could have kicked 3 goals easy tonight. He got 1. Would have been a huge return for him. I really believe that, some of the kids there who've Brown's improving slightly. Tuvi's back towards where he was before. He got really hurt a long time. Benny Johnson, what a return Ben Johnson has from a big injury that cost him 12 or 13 weeks or 14 weeks or whatever it was. He's back and he's enjoying himself. You can see him. He's a very important part of that football club. Sharad Willingham had a lapse for 3 or 4 weeks when he came back. So there's a whole host of players there that have improved and got better but the most important thing is that they've become a better team now than they were in the last 5 or 6 weeks.
How new in the game is the defensive forward role?
New?
Has that been going on forever?
Back in the 70s?
Didn't forwards used to have to kick goals? Did they have to lay a lot of tackles?
I reckon there was players like
plenty of them,
Shimmerbush and Flower, who played off a half-back flank, who players went out just, sorry son, but you line up on Robbie Flower today on a half-back flank. Your job is to stop him. I reckon it's been going for a while.
It's been going for a long time, mate. Very long time. So
we're about to talk to Dale Thomas, I think. So Collingwood by 13 points over West Coast. Just the numbers on preliminary finalists. We've had... we'll go down and join Kelly. Kel?
Thanks, Jared. Take two. We are here. Dale Thomas standing alongside of me. Daisy, congratulations. You're into another prelim, and yourself personally, you turned the game on its head in that third term with a hat-trick. What does it feel like to set the MCG alight on a big finals occasion?
Oh, look, it's certainly good to get a win any time, and a big game like this, fantastic the way the boys went about it for 4 quarters, really dug in, really cracked in for the full 4 quarters, and that's what it took. We knew that's what it was going to take, and just wrapped to get the result. How physically taxing, how gruelling was that compared to your regular season match? I think all finals are pretty taxing, and it definitely steps up from the in-season games, the home and away games. So last week was no difference. It was a big physical game, and coming up again this week against Sydney, it'll be another one of those. But this is what the boys. This is why you play footy. You play it for finals. You play it for the contest. And to the boys' credit, we probably won that tonight. It was a tight-knit little circle as you belted out the theme song, and then straight into for Bucks to have a few words. What was his message? Oh, pretty positive. It was just more going through the week, what we got ahead, just getting to the rehab and recovery. But the message has been simple all along, that if you bring that effort and that want and desire, that you'll be in the game for long enough and give yourself a chance to win it. And we took enough opportunities tonight and won the game. Mark McClure and Chris Grant are upstairs far away. Dale Thomas.
Dale, Chris Grant here. Congratulations on tonight. I just wanted to ask specifically, how did you feel at that 10-minute mark of the first quarter, where they got the jump on you? And as Tyson Goldsack has alluded to us, you feel like you've always yourselves been a good starting team, but when a side like that gets a jump on you, how did you feel and how did you tackle it?
Yeah, well, personally, I think you just got to try, and you're not going to get all the goals back in 5 minutes. You've just got to wrestle it back, and for us it was just about getting the scoreboard respectable back at quarter time, so we weren't blown out of the water. So I think we did that. We weren't, we didn't just swing the momentum in one instance. We just chipped away. And we knew it wasn't going to just happen, but that belief, I think that's throughout the whole group, that if we can hang around and bring that intensity at the contest, we'll be there at a time to give ourselves a chance to win it.
And what about you personally? Did you say anything quietly to yourself at half time and to come out and play a third quarter like that?
No, I didn't do anything overly different. I was just lucky enough to sneak forward a couple of times and get on the end of a few, so nice to contribute. I had a stinker last week. I think that's been pretty well documented, I think. It's nice to get out there and contribute for the team.
That's, I think, in the last sort of 8 to 10 weeks, that's the best team game you've put together, I reckon, as a football club.
Yeah, I think we've certainly been building towards a game like that. Last week, although we didn't get the result we're after, I think was a positive step in that direction, and we took great confidence out of that, although it was a loss. The way we went about it and the attack on the footy, we knew if we brought that again tonight, we'd be there at some stage and give ourselves a chance to win it, and fortunately enough, we took our opportunities and came away the victor.
I think you had a different attack this week than you did last week. You attacked some personnel last week, but this time you actually had your eyes right on the ball and focused on what you wanted to do.
Yeah, well, that's your opinion. I don't think there was anything made of that internally. It's each individual how they go about playing their opponent, but tonight it was a fantastic team effort.
I know you're not going to give him a slap, but how would you reckon that Bucks has gone in his first year as coach?
I think he's been fantastic. I'd tell you if I thought otherwise. He's met the challenges of the first couple of weeks head on. Looking back, we were 1 win and 2 losses, I think, early on. We got the hiding from Carlton, and there was people questioning a lot of things. So the way he's handled himself all through that, he's got the boys right behind him. We've got full belief in his game plan and what he wants us to execute us to do. And when we do that, we produce performances like tonight.
We just want him to kick the ball to you in the rooms before the game.
Yeah, well, the last time we tried that was before that Carlton game I speak of.
Well, you say you sacked him?
Yes, or he sacked me.
And Dale, on a sombre note, John McCarthy's funeral is likely to be in this coming week. How will that fit in with footy commitments?
Yeah, that's Thursday. All the boys will be down there to pay their respects to John and his family, and He's a fantastic young bloke who is an integral part of this footy club for some years. So we'll certainly get down there and get around each other again and work that into the week somehow. This week puts it all into perspective. There's a lot of things bigger than football in this world.
So when and you have to get to Sydney at some stage as well. Do you know how that's going to pan out?
No, I'm not overly sure.
Okay. Dale, well done. Well done. It was a really meaningful night for the club.
Thank you. Good on you guys.
Dale Thomas with us in the Collingwood rooms.